the Inno Talk podcast. We'll no topic is off limits. Now here's your host, my daddy, and Roy the Soul. Thank you for coming to the Inno podcast. Boom, swat, boom.
In 3, 2, 1. Here we go. We're starting. Kyle.
Yes.
I'm Ryan.
Ryan, great to meet you.
Nice to officially meet you. I've seen you out and about and around.
Have you?
Mm-hmm. I think, weren't you, you're friends with Josh, right?
Yep. Actually, I listened. You and Josh kept me company on a drive up to South Dakota I did last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I adore Josh.
Yeah, he's the best.
He is. He is absolutely the best guy. And speaking of drinking, we always like to go out for espresso martinis.
You and him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Espresso martinis. Those are good. Where's the best espresso martini in town I can get?
Well, I'll tell you what. Susan and Laser both made really great ones.
What a great name, by the way.
I know.
Laser?
Susan. Yeah, Laser. Yeah, they're fantastic. So I love the one at Novel. Is a really good espresso martini. They make it perfectly. And of course, you got to have it with dessert, and the desserts are phenomenal. That's a great place. The other place is Lowe's. The bar, which I was like shocked because I'm not like, oh, it's a big hotel, no, so good, because it's more coffee forward, and because some of them make them like without the coffee, they use some type of flavored liqueur or something, and they dump a bunch of cream in. It's like, ugh, I don't like that.
I like Lowe's a lot. They have good bartenders there too, and I like old fashions. I like whiskey, and I also like tequila. And I like to kind of I like to throw bartenders, as we were talking a minute ago, just kind of for a loop. Just kind of like, what do you got for me? Mm-hmm. And I went there and I said, hey, make me a tequila old fashioned.
Okay, so Bricks in Westport. Had dinner there the first time Tuesday night last week. And by the way, again, Josh Montez, he did something on one of his stories on Instagram talking about it, and we ended up going there. They had I think it was called either a KC Mexican or a Mexican KC. And what it was a twist on a Manhattan with mezcal.
I love mezcal.
Oh my gosh. It was so good. Because it took the edge off the whiskey. And then some bitters, and I forgot what else they put in there. Oh my gosh. It was so good. Raul at the bar made it. It's fantastic.
That's at Bricks?
Bricks in Westport. Yeah. It's there on Pennsylvania next to the cigar shop.
Okay.
Yeah. Fantastic food. We had a great meal there, great drinks. Awesome place.
Yeah, like I was saying, I feel like I've been to like almost everywhere. But then I haven't. Like I hear all these other places. I'm like, oh, I haven't checked that place out.
I have
like Bricks. I haven't been into Bricks.
Yeah.
I've walked by it, but there's not a ton of great places in Westport to eat. Like I'm always disappointed a little bit.
Yeah. I'm really bad about getting into a rut of like, I like to go to certain places because they're comfortable. I know what I'm going to get and all that. And it's like, sometimes it's fine. And other times like, this is really sad. You need to try somewhere else because we have so many great places in Kansas City.
What are your favorite places to get dinner?
Enzo and Ragazza. Just because I know Laura and her brother Grant and the staff there. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who does nothing but give. That's Laura in a nutshell. She just gives and gives and gives. And the food is fantastic. Just good, basic Italian food based on our family's recipes. Awesome.
Enzo?
So Enzo, she started with the Ragazza, and then there's the Enzo that's in the city market.
I just tried that.
Did you really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's stumbling distance from my place because I live in the city market. So
nice.
Yeah. So it's, that's the other but oh my gosh, the lamb meatballs. What did you have?
Well, I ordered like some kind of chicken. I can't even remember what it was. I think it's their only chicken, like a half chicken or a quarter chicken or something.
Oh yeah, on the oh my gosh, what's the pasta? Not risotto.
Yeah.
Risotto.
Yes, I love risotto. It's one of my favorite things to eat. But they were all out. He goes, "Oh, we just sold out of that." It's like, no. He goes, "But the special tonight, it was some kind of pork in a red sauce."
Oh yeah.
With polenta. Polenta.
Okay.
It was good.
Nice.
I wish it would have had a little bit more meat.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was really good. And what did my date have? A salad.
What?
But she said it was a really good salad.
I mean, the salad's good. Was it there's a Mediterranean salad with like feta and red onion and all chopped up vegetables, or their Caesar's also good too.
No, it was the feta, and she added. I think she added some protein to it.
Okay, yeah, no, that's actually a really good salad. So I take back my shock. Like, I didn't know if she was doing that like first date thing. Like, I'm just gonna have a salad.
No, I would have kicked her to the curb. You better order some meat, girl.
Absolutely.
We're in Kansas City.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Although we do have quite a few. I mean, it is a city. You're gonna get those vegetarians filtering in and doing their thing.
Oh my gosh. So one of my favorite quotes about that is Megan Girls, who's the pastry chef at Rye, unapologetically uses oh my gosh, what is it? Not Crisco. What's the
tallow?
No, and what makes a pie crust flaky? Oh my gosh, I cannot. My brain's just turned off on me.
I don't know. I'm not a baker.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Now I want to know.
Now, we may have to hop on the internet. But no, she unapologetically, like, I use it because it's, fat, but it makes a really fantastic flaky pie crust.
Like an animal fat?
Yeah, I think like an animal fat. Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
That's not rye?
Yeah. Wow. Fantastic.
I feel like we could talk about food all day because I know, I feel like you're a foodie.
I love eating.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love eating.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's the best. And we're in a good city for it.
We are in a really good city for it. And what's nice about it is that it's not everything is pretentious. I think people, when they say they're foodie, some people get this idea of like, oh, like here's your tiny little slide of meat and some type of weird reduction.
But it's on a cool plate and it's decorated all fancy.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
you're not going to know how to eat it exactly.
Yeah. And then you're also thinking, I'm stopping for a cheeseburger on the way home because I'm going to walk away hungry.
I know. I don't want my fallback to be a cheeseburger.
Yeah, I know. Although, Town Topic cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Where the grease is kind of seeping through the sack.
Yeah.
It's 2:00 in the morning and you get a show with your meal there in the parking lot.
Yeah, that is what a Kansas City staple Town Topic is.
Absolutely.
Every city's got to have a little place like that, though.
I would think so.
Do you travel a lot? I mean, you were just saying you were going to South Dakota.
Yeah, I do and I don't. I say I don't, but then I'll have been to New York. I was in New York earlier this month. I'll be there again working with a client May and then June. And then I'll be in Scottsdale at the end of the month for another conference, then Denver. And then I'll be in Wichita next week. Or this week, actually. This week, yeah. I like to go to exotic places like South Dakota and Wichita.
We're at South Dakota.
Sioux Falls.
Eh.
So, yeah, it's a nice little town.
It's fine. I've been there. I lived in South Dakota, but on the other side of the state.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's the nice part of the Black Hills.
And every time I go to a conference, like once a year, I do some work for the university up there, and I go up once a year, and every time I go up, it's like you need to tack on some extra time and drive through the Black Hills.
Yeah.
It's not that far from Kansas City. It's an easy drive. And I love
Rapid
Big
City?
Sky. Yeah, I love Big Sky country. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, speaking of Big Sky, my parents just last year, they haven't even been there for a year yet, moved to Montana.
Oh really?
And I went out there. I went to Bozeman. I took my kids out there last July.
Okay.
Wow. You want to talk about just a whole nother, you feel like you're in another country. And I've traveled quite a bit all over the country, but that is like a whole nother wilderness, wild. I mean, one of the biggest things that shocked me is, I'm staying at their house, of course, watching TV and watching the local news.
Yeah.
We don't have local news like their local news is.
Okay, so how's their local news?
Their local news is bear attacks. I mean, they live amongst real life monsters. I mean, these are like legit monsters. Like,
right.
There was one of the first stories I heard was a guy was motorcycling through the mountains.
Yeah.
And hit a bear. You never hear of a he hits a bear. He died. Hit the bear and died. The bear, apparently, they couldn't find the bear. Apparently, he just walked off and survived.
Oh, my gosh.
And then the other one I heard was this gal was with some other guys, like biking, like cycling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they stopped. They were like going from, I don't even know, California or something. Mm-hmm. They were stopping one night to camp.
Yeah.
And they camped on Main Street next to the post office. And at 3:30, a grizzly bear came in her tent and ate her.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I don't think they fully ate her, but killed her
enough
to kill her. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Could you imagine living I am taking my kids out on a hike, and just the whole time your head's on a swivel. You're just constantly looking around. Where's the bear? Where's the bear? You see signs of them everywhere. Like don't leave food around or anything like that. So yeah, that's like some of the news. And then another story. My dad works. He's a superintendent for a school district, and he said last year at the elementary school there were 2 wolves, giant wolves, just pacing back and forth about 100 yards from the playground where the kids were at. Just pacing back and forth. So they had to call up some farmer to come out and shoot them.
Oh my gosh.
So it is like a whole nother country out there. It's
very much, yeah. Oh wow.
Can you imagine? That's like living every.
That's your news.
That's your news.
Bear attacks and wolf attacks. Wow.
Yeah. All right. So I brought you in here because I saw. Speaking of Josh, one of his stories had promoting your business of I can't remember what the title was, but like helping people accomplish their goals, helping business accomplish their goals.
Oh, so now we're talking about Josh Damp.
No, it's Montez.
Josh Montez. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, so that was for a group called Emerge, with the Mid-America LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Emerge is it started as for a group of young professionals, and then it kind of grew to people, transitioning in their careers, starting new chapters and everything. And so they invited me to come and talk to them about, goal setting and achieving your goals. Because that's a lot of what I do in my business. And so I work with leadership teams, and I coach them through a process called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, or EOS. And what we do is it's a set of tools and a proven process that gets the leadership team on the same page of the vision, that is where they want to go and how they're going to get there, but kind of bring that vision down to the ground, execute on it, building traction towards it, and then in the process keep creating a healthy leadership team. And then from there, they take it and they migrate it down into the rest of the company to where everybody's on the same page of the vision, everybody's executing on that vision, and you create a great culture of people along the way.
This will work with most businesses, or what kind of business do you cater to?
So it was originally going to be the tool that I was going to use for family business succession planning, and that's a whole other story there. But now I work with businesses of all kinds, worked with some law firms, staffing companies, anywhere from revenues of $1 million up to $50 million, employees of 6 to up to 130 or 160, and anything in between. And usually, people will reach out to me because, you start a business.
Right.
All right. You've got a great idea. You jump off the cliff and you just work your ass off. And then all of a sudden, 3, 5, 10, 20 years later, you've got this thing where, you're making a pretty good living, or making a really great living, but it always feels like there's chaos. You got some people in your organization really aren't the right people. You're not really have a handle on whether your business is on the right track, just all these different things. And so people will reach out to me and say, hey, we need some help. Great. But what I really look for, Ryan, when I'm working with folks is they got to, if they're really going to take and do well with this, it's not about so much the type of business. It's more about the mindset.
Okay.
Are they open to new ideas? Are they willing to be open to change? Are they willing to be honest with themselves and with each other? That there's some issues in the business that there's a lot of great stuff in their business. Mm-hmm. Let's not lose sight of that. But there's also some issues there, like every other business.
That's why I called you, right?
Exactly. And then be honest about that. Are they willing to hold themselves accountable? Are they willing to be vulnerable with one another? Because no matter what it is, they want to be better than what they are today.
Right.
However they define better. And
that's a tough. A lot of big pills people got to swallow there with that list.
You've got to, and I kind of get down to the brass tacks about it's like, are you ready to rip the Band-Aid off?
Yeah.
Let's not lose sight of all the really great stuff you've got going on in here, but you also have some other issues that you really have to working with some leadership teams now. There are just some people who should not be on the team and probably shouldn't be in the company just because of a values mismatch, or they're just in the wrong seat, and there really there's no other place for them, but they're just afraid to pull the trigger because they've been good, loyal employees. They got them this far, but they can't get them to the, and I hate using this term, next level, but they just can't get them there. So
is that, I know very little about business or anything like that, but it's just not my world. I wish I knew more. But is that the Peters principle or something like that? Is that something?
Oh, the people who got you where you are, necessarily the people are going to get you
no,
where
like,
you need to go.
Maybe maybe I'm thinking something. It's like say me as an employee, I get to a position of like management, and I'm pretty good, and so they bring me out. So I get what do they call it? A promotion.
You get a promotion,
but then I'm like over my head.
Yep.
And I'll never go further because I'm already over my head, and that's where I'm stuck.
That's it. That's a lot like that. Well, I mean, and quite honestly, that was my story. You know, in my family, I was in my family's business 17 years. Probably stayed 13 years too long.
What? I feel like that now with my job. I've been there for about 17 years.
Yeah. Well, and it's, for me, it was, I graduated college. I went to Rockhurst here locally, and nice. I was going to go off and be a college professor, but didn't quite know how to get into graduate school and navigate all that. So I took a year, and I thought, well, I'll reapply.
What'd you do for that year?
Well, I joined the family business.
Okay.
Okay. I think I kind of just invited myself in and said, hey, and they made a space for me. So I took that bachelor's in political science and history, and I went to sweeping floors, cutting paper. It was a printing company that we had. Cutting paper, running machinery, doing a complete 180 of what I did. And I actually was enjoying it. It was because it was kind of, not so book heavy but I liked the active part of it. It was going to stay 1 year, ended up staying 17 years. My brother and sister were owners. I eventually became an owner, but we grew it to be an $18 million printing company, fifth largest printing company in Kansas City. So when I joined, it was a couple million in revenue and about a dozen employees. And then we grew it to 18 million in revenue and over 80 employees.
Wow.
And we were leading edge in our field. What I was working on combined both, data processing, all sorts of, technology to kind of drive the presses and everything. And I had no idea what I was doing. And that came very evident at the end that I was just not the right person for the job.
Okay. And
when I looked around, there were no other seats for me, and really the best thing that made sense was for me to leave the company and kind of strike out on my own.
And because it's a family company, were they afraid to fire you, or the loyalty? Like, we can't fire. He's our brother. We can't fire him. Just keep him here.
I think there was part of we didn't know how to talk about it.
Okay.
We really didn't know how to talk about it because, if he's not in the business, what's he gonna do? Because I remember years ago. Gosh, I joined in like 93, and I think in 95 I told my dad, I think I really need to leave because it's not working. And he says, well, as long as you're here, I don't have to worry about you. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, what does that say about me? But anyway, and what it is, our parents, they've been out in the world. They know the ups and downs. It's like, you've got a good thing here. Don't mess it up.
Okay.
You can make this work. I'm like, okay. But we just didn't know how to talk about it. It was obvious for a very long time that I should not have been in this seat. I should have been doing something else. We didn't have the vision. We didn't know how to get ourselves organized or anything like that. We just knew how to get in, bust our ass, get the work done, and take care of our customers and our employees. That's what we knew.
Mm-hmm.
Did really well with it. Had a very nice lifestyle with it.
Just doing that builds it over time. Just being a hard worker.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is we, at certain times, we could say that, we made some very strategic decisions. I think we just we'll try this. And trying this worked out. And it actually led. So what I started doing became the cornerstone of a lot of what drove our company. And that was never the big strategic thing. It just kind of happened. But as it grew and we got more sophisticated, we needed somebody else in that seat who really understood. I was kind of IT project management, data processing, a lot of technology, and a lot of software development. I didn't know how to do any of that, and we were just kind of figuring it out as we go along. And that's a really great entrepreneurial story, but the problem is that we didn't know how to lay the foundation to be able to really scale the company, to really grow it. We just took, hey, people would ask, can you do this? Yeah, we can do this. Not really thinking, should we even be doing it in the first place? because did it really fit with our overall operation?
Like what kind of things were they asking you to do?
Just different types of projects.
Okay.
Nothing, it's like, hey, you were able to print these postcards with the addresses and, it's all this, what's called variable data, where everything is customized to the recipient. So like if, for example, if you would go to the dealership and you looked at a sports car, red sports car, and you signed up for some more information, you would start getting nothing but mailers with red sports cars on them, name on the license plate. Maybe if you were interested in financing, they talk to you about financing. So it's customized to you.
Oh, wow.
But if I went and I was interested in the family truckster, a station wagon, and I, whatever I was interested in, I would start getting all these mail pieces and these marketing touches catered to me with the family truckster on it. And so really sophisticated, really what's called sticky solutions. Like once you get in with a client, it's really hard for them to leave because you have to tie the systems in so well, all of that. Really cool opportunity. I mean, it's learned a lot, and it really helped grow our company. We were really big in real estate and gaming, and then some insurance work, but we didn't have the strong foundation in place from a technology and infrastructure standpoint. We just said, yeah, we can do this. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We figured it out. Well, then now all of a sudden you've got this thing that's all, put together and not a real master plan, and still doing well, still taking care of your customers, providing great jobs. But then you say, I want to scale the company. I really want to grow it. You don't have the infrastructure in there to really support it because everything's been customized.
For each job type
For
thing?
each job. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it gets really like, how do you then take all this customization you can do, which is a differentiator for you in the marketplace, but how do you do it to where you can really scale the company? And sometimes it requires you saying no to certain opportunities when the opportunity looks really, really good.
Right.
And like, ooh. And quite honestly, what kind of sealed the deal for me to leave the company is we had an opportunity come to us. Global brand. I mean, like, oh my gosh, if we could do this, we would be somebody.
Ooh.
And we did, but let's see, lost money because I didn't know how to manage a budget, lost a shit ton of money.
Oh no.
Made a couple major mistakes at the beginning of the relationship when we actually started rolling into production. And just through all that experience, it's like, I am not the man for this job. They needed somebody who had IT experience, who really understood how to build systems and manage software development. That is not me. I am not a project manager. I don't have that experience. I don't have that knowledge. It just didn't make sense anymore. And so in 2010, I said to my brother and sister, you all need to go find somebody, and I need to go find something else to do. It was so obvious. I mean, it was at that point.
Were they like, finally?
Well, I think it was like,
finally, yeah, Kyle, we've been waiting for it. We didn't want to bring it up, but thank you.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it really, as I look back on it, I wish I would have had presence of mind way before that, because it held me back. Wasn't fair to me. Wasn't fair to my family. It wasn't fair to our employees, and it wasn't fair to our customers. When business owners, or when we hold on to too much in our jobs, we can't grow. We constrain our own growth. We constrain the growth of the people around us, the company, all of that. And it's very scary to let go and realize, hey man, I am not the one for this job.
Right.
And to step out of it. And so I've got issues. It's kind of funny. Almost every leadership team I work with, it's very clear that there's somebody there that should not be there. And they just haven't gotten to the realization, or they haven't gotten the courage yet to say, I need to move on, or the owner hasn't said, you need to leave.
Should it be more up to the owner than the employee? I think it should, but because employees are going to be like, when I'm hearing you say that, I'm like, oh, you're a pretty selfless guy to do that. Because I think most people be more selfish and be like, screw the company, screw the customer. Like, I got a mortgage to pay, I got bills to pay, I got to keep this job. I'm not gonna.
Well, and you totally understand why people hold on to their jobs, because it's very real. You've got a family to take care of at home. It's totally understandable why people stay in their jobs, and they're afraid. Everybody says, oh, you should pursue your passion.
That's what I'm doing. I'm not making a dime off this thing.
It's like,
I am. I got kids to feed.
Yeah, it's like pursue your passion. I have a fucking mortgage to pay, and I got to think about my kids, and I've got bills to pay, and yeah, you can do that. And you land on your feet, blah, all that kind of stuff, and I believe that, but let's also be real. We have to be realistic about things too, and I totally get why people hang on longer than they should. And on the other end, a lot of the owners I work with, actually I have a no assholes rule. I won't work with assholes.
Really?
I will not do it.
Isn't that going to be hard to do? I just assume a lot of business owners are just kind of assholes, but they kind of have to be.
Well, here's the thing about one of the things I really learned. So first of all, yeah, there are business owners that are assholes. I mean, they're just jerks, and doesn't matter how much money or little money they're making or how wonderful the people around there, they're just assholes. Mm-hmm. What I find though, a lot of the folks I work with, that assholeness that comes off is one, there's the stress of owning a business and all the responsibilities with it. There's also a genuine concern, a deep care and concern, because when they look across the table, they don't see, 20 employees. They see 20 employees and all the families that they support. So it's not 20 mouths they have to feed. It may be 80 or 100. I can see that consistently with the owners I work with. The other thing, especially for visionary entrepreneurs, the people who just jump off a cliff and figure it out, they have this vision. They know where they want to go, and they can see it, they can taste it, they can smell it, they can see. They can't get there fast enough and they're just so frustrated. And so I think there's a lot of that assholeness that comes out. They're just frustrated because they see that vision and they can touch it. They know what it looks like, but they just can't get there. And so I think that's a lot of what happens too. So you've got this whole thing and because a lot of the owners, they deeply care. So one of the things I do is I facilitate a peer group of next generation business leader, family business leaders. Next gen is not exactly as smart because they're already running the business. And listening to them talk, it's four business owners in their 30s who have taken on this tremendous responsibility. And when they talk about their employees, they don't say employees, they talk about families.
Really?
Yeah. I love working with, it's 4 of them. I love working and facilitating, just letting them talk. I am in awe of what they have accomplished in their life.
That's what you want from a business owner, to really feel like that and be like, this is a real family. I really care about you.
Yeah.
But I'm a skeptical fella. So I'm like, are those real people? Are they really they really think that? I've been, I've worked a lot of different places, and it just always feels like we're just a number to you.
For a lot of them, and that's the thing about, for a lot of businesses, especially a lot of large corporations,
right?
You are a number. We can replace you the next day,
right?
Or what, we got to cut 10,000 people. We're going to cut 10,000 people, whatever the case may be. And it's really sad because people fail to realize that if you don't invest more in your people and really appreciate, you will get so much more in return.
Oh yeah.
I see it every single time. People, when they're respected, they have autonomy, they know what their purpose is in the job, and they're making it, so they can feed their family. Mm-hmm. They will do so much more. Mm-hmm. And they can be so much more productive in that same 8 hours or less if you really show that you appreciate. And this is not, you don't have to do a whole lot to do that. You acknowledge their contributions. You pay them a compliment. You listen to them. You spend time, listening and coaching them. And yeah, it's not rocket science.
But it seems like it must be rocket science. Maybe it just becomes that point once it gets to like a certain number. Is there a certain number of like employees you see with like a business owner, then when they get to like, all right, you guys are just a number now? Or
I think what I see where owners struggle is that they lose that personal connection. They start out, they have their team of 5, 10, 15, even 50 or 100 people. They still feel like that. But then as they start even growing more and more, they lose that personal touch. And it's something that really kind of
makes sense though.
Well, and I know for the owners that I know I work with, it keeps them up at night because they know that they wouldn't be where they are without their people.
Right.
They genuinely care about their people, but it bothers them that they walk through their plant and they don't know everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's not that personal connection. And then how do you but how do you still create that culture of care and concern for your people?
Yeah, how do you just fake it? Oh, hey, good to see you.
Well, it's
you never use their name.
You can't do that. It's like you just have to own it. You have to own it, and if you do it in such a way that shows gratitude and you're gracious about it, hopefully you will have people who will understand and get it,
right?
And understand that's like, it's really, you've got to develop your good layer of managers and leaders beneath you to make sure that they can transmit those values down.
That makes sense. I mean, both of them make sense.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense that once you do get to that number, 150, 200, you start kind of losing sight of that. But but the reason that makes sense is that Dunbar's number? You know what that is? It's like we grew up, but like our ancient humans grew up real tribal.
Oh yeah.
And once they got to about 150, 200. It just kind of you just have that, you have that many like people in your head you can kind of remember.
You kind of lose it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 150 something
like that.
Yeah. But you're right, absolutely right. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, how do I manage this?
Yeah, and that's when you just have to have your tight team of managers and just have a close relationship with them and make sure they have a close relationship with their whatever branch is.
Absolutely.
And that's what you do. Just go in there and.
Yeah, and so I
get everybody's Dunbar number into their little packs.
Well, it's really kind of wild because I left the family business, took a year, and then I went back to school for a master's in counseling. I thought I wanted to be a therapist.
All over the place.
Yeah, make whatever connection you want between 17 years in your family's business, thinking, oh, I need to be a therapist.
Where does that come from? You went from, because earlier you said you wanted to be a professor.
Yeah, so I wanted to be a college professor.
What kind of professor? What did you want to teach?
I wanted to teach, well, first of all, it was political science, and I started, history, American history.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, and oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't go into do the political science because politics is such a clusterfuck right now.
It is so fucking wild right now.
It is just so, yeah. But quite honestly, I dated somebody who was a psychologist.
Okay.
And he kind of, clued me into some of the things about the profession. Like, well, that's interesting. That's something I could, do. And everybody had always said, you're a really good listener. It's like, okay, so how do I make that, how do I professionalize that, and I thought, okay, that's something I could always park, as maybe an alternative if I ever decide to leave the business.
Okay.
When I decide to leave the business, like, okay, this is, I'm going to go do this. So went to graduate school at UMKC. About halfway through, though, we had a project for a class in marriage and family counseling. And it was go research whatever topic was interesting to you. And I thought, I'll go look at family business. And my professor,
sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, and my professor said, you can do that. I don't think you're going to find anything, but just go check it out. I'm like, okay. Ryan, I remember sitting down at my computer the first day I was working on doing the research for this, and I just found stacks and stacks and stacks of articles about family business, and not just in the mental health press, but also in the business press. And that there are ways in which that you can make and help the family and business really work better together. And that there were professionals who do this. There were consultants in the field, people who do this work. And it's like, okay, well, this is interesting. This is, another twist on something. And also what's happening right now is, there's the whole baby boomer retirement wave that's going on. 10,000 people, retiring or turning 65, every day. Well, a lot of those folks are business owners.
Yeah.
And they're looking to pass the business off to their kids. Okay. Because that's kind of the easy thing to do. I put big, huge air quotes around the easy thing. And it's like, okay, so that's happening. There's a lot of people helping with the business aspect, but people aren't really helping with the family because no one wants to touch the family, because the family is just all, who
Sacred.
Doesn't know a good family business train wreck, they're, look at the Succession. Everybody loves Succession.
I haven't watched it yet. I
watched one episode, and it's like there is not one redeeming quality about any of these people, and I felt I had to take a shower afterwards. And it's a great cast. I mean, you talk about a stellar cast, but I just like, ugh.
It's because you won't work with assholes, so you probably don't want to watch.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Or like any good 80s soap opera. Dallas Falcon Crest, any of those, Dynasty, all family business.
The only soap operas I watched was wrestling.
Oh my gosh, is that not a great soap? Well,
It's
but
the best soap opera for men.
Yeah, World Wrestling, family business. Yeah, the McMahons.
The McMahons, that's
yeah,
right.
the family business. Yeah, exactly.
That dude ain't ever giving it up, though.
What's that?
That guy's never giving it up.
No, he
Vince.
won't. No.
What a stud that guy is. I don't know how old he is, but you can tell that dude's still on steroids, just slinging dick.
Well, and here's the thing that's so funny about that is that you think about, so there's a perfect example of visionary entrepreneur. Like he knew how to pull all of these regional wrestling federations together and then to be able to create this, I think what you said, soap opera for men.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic soap opera. I mean, the storytelling and everything, the vision that has. And I would imagine he's probably, he had to learn to let go. He had to, let go of the business. Of course, he had his wife, his Linda McMahon was also very much part, and, son and daughter were in it. And so it's a little bit easier to let go, but still hold on to, power and control. But it's gosh, I hadn't thought about that for a long time. So back in the 80s, my dad and I, like when he was really starting to grow, WWF, or at the time it was WWF.
Right.
Like with Hulk Hogan.
It's always WWF to me.
Yeah, I know. Well, oh my gosh, I remember when it was really taking off in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Dad and I would watch it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And Mom was just always so disgusted with us, but it's like, oh my gosh, it was such a good soap opera.
My mom did not want me watching that.
Oh, yeah.
I have a brother that's a year and a half younger than me.
Uh-huh.
So we're wrestling anyway.
Yeah.
And then you start throwing on there and you can get real. I was just thinking about this the other day. I fucked this kid up and I still feel so bad about it. I mean, he's fine.
Yeah.
But
sounds like you're not, but
yeah, you're right. This kid's probably completely forgot about this
exactly.
incident that's happened. This was like, I don't know, it's probably like 11 or 10 or something. And I just did a suplex on this kid.
Oh my gosh.
I picked him up, upside down where his head is, by my crotch. And then you just fall down on him with his head down there. And his head landed.
Oh my gosh.
And just, I ran away. Oh my God. What do? I got to run away from this situation. But I mean, he's not in a wheelchair or anything. So. But yeah, I understood where my mom's coming from, especially with a brother when we would just send each other to the ER anyways.
Oh my gosh.
Not watching that stuff, fighting.
Brother and sister are cruel to each other anyway, verbal or otherwise.
Right. Especially when we're that close.
Yeah.
Year and a half. I mean, he's bigger than me now. He was always a little bit bigger than me, but I could always kick his ass.
Yeah.
I'm the older brother. So.
Yeah. Okay. See, so in my family, what happened is there's 6 years difference between me and my next oldest sibling. And so I was, as my mother would like to say, you were a gift. I'm like, bullshit, Mom. I was a surprise.
Dad forgot
you
to
were
pull
not
out.
planned. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was not only am I youngest, but I'm also an only because there's just enough because all the other kids. So there's 6 years, then 5 years, and 1 year. So there's like a 12-year span, 12, 13 year between my oldest sibling. And so, it's like 3 different families, with 3 different sets of stories and all that. So I had a lot of mom and dad's attention, when I was young. And they had lost, mom had there were some miscarriages. And then, we also had one, little one that had died of SIDS about 2 months after. Yeah. And so when I came along, I was like, ooh, I got all of mom and dad's attention.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty intense.
In a good way?
Okay, so
overall?
At the time it was in a good way, but now that I have the sense of, kind of look back, it's like, oh, that probably wasn't helpful. They probably I was coddled too much because there in the early years, all I do is point at something and I had like 5 people jumping to get it. So like you talk about power.
Just creating a monster.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that, what's funny about that is in the last couple of years, I've had to kind of get my head around, I've got some feelings of entitlement I need to I need to check on, or, it's like, I'll be 53 in July. So it's just kind of going through some challenges around COVID because like my business evaporated, like so many other people's business evaporated.
Yeah, I forgot about COVID.
And so it's like, and so kind of going off about things. It's like, you know what? You've got to figure this shit out. No one else is going to do it for you. And so often in the past, I had people to step in and save me, which is so often the case, especially with youngest. Everybody's in there to save the youngest and, take care of the youngest. And, and it's like, oh, had to kind of do some soul searching on that one and kind of own up to some stuff. Ugh. So anyway.
But you're good now?
Oh, I'm good. Oh, yeah. I
hard to do. Probably hard to do your job on Zoom meetings.
What? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I hate Zoom.
Yeah.
I would rather eat this table than try and do. I mean, the group of 4 that I facilitate, leaders, we do it by Zoom because it's virtual. It's just the nature of the group. But they chip in and they're very active and like awesome. But typically, no, I won't do Zoom unless it's an absolute last resort. I had one client that was Zoom, and it just, they were a good team and everything. I liked them, but it wasn't the same as being in the room.
Yeah, that's how I am with this podcast. I've tried, I'm very limited because I like this. I like the one-on-one. I like someone right across from me. I want to look in your eyes and talk to you.
Thank you.
That's a human being here.
What was so funny is when you sent me an address, I'm like, oh, I'm actually supposed to, because so many other podcasts, interviews I've done, it's been by Zoom. It's like, it's fine, but you're right. This in person is a lot better.
Yeah, I don't even assume people would think. Maybe I should start putting that on there. Hey, this is in person, baby.
Yeah. No, I'm all for it.
But yeah, so being here in Kansas City, I am limited to who I can have on. And I get great, amazing guests.
Yeah.
But there are some, I've done a few on Zoom because one was one of my favorite authors, and he lives in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't fly. I don't have the money to fly him down. That'd be amazing. Or fly up there.
Exactly.
That'd be even better.
That'd better.
But there's just something missing. There's just something missing when you're talking to someone on a computer screen.
Yeah.
There's no.
It's not the same.
Lacking some depth.
Yeah. It's not the same.
Not at all. So now you're out there traveling.
I'm out
feeling
traveling.
All right.
Yeah, feeling good. Loving it.
So after you started, you going back to school.
Oh yeah, went back to school, did this class project, and it kind of planted a seed. It's like, okay, because the whole idea of being in an office day after day, hour after hour, just talking to folks, it's like, okay, I could do that, but I want to be able to have the freedom to do something, kind of do something more with it. Then it ended up, a friend of mine said, and a couple other people, you should just go do that. Just go work with family businesses. It's like, you're right. I should just go do that. Having no idea what go do that meant.
Right.
So I finished my degree, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to try this for a while, the consulting route. And so I just went out and started talking to people.
How do you even get started? I mean, you're basically saying I'm going to start my own business.
Yep.
And I'm the business.
Exactly. I'm the business.
So
I'm a consultant.
Yeah.
And by the way, I came from a manufacturing background, and where I actually could feel what I was, feel, touch, and see what I was selling or what we were doing. Now I'm going to be a consultant. Or as a friend of mine would say, consultant.
Yeah, for sure.
And okay, so that's a whole nother way to sell and just all of that. And by the way, there really is no, there was really no books on how to, I was thinking I'll facilitate family meetings, help people get around a common vision, a common plan, all of that. And the problem in that field is that everybody wants to work with their super uber wealthy families. Okay. Because they have all the money, you can charge a lot of fees and all that nonsense.
Okay.
Right. And there's a lot of people who do that. That's not me, man. I mean, we grew up blue collar. Both parents come from poor rural farming backgrounds. We were manufacturing blue collar. We had a lot of country folk working for us, they live east. They drive in an hour. And so that is not I don't know anything about being a shareholder and just sitting on my ass and collecting a dividend check. And so I
wish I did.
Oh, I would like to. Yeah, I am willing to I will give it a good shot. I will give it a go. And it didn't work for me. And I was like, okay, so that's not going to be me. And so still thinking about, how to build this, I just started having meetings, talking to estate planning attorneys, people who work with family businesses and business owners, and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Everybody always say, oh my gosh, I've got like 4 or 5 clients who could work with, because they see the problems and they don't want to touch them. And I just kind of slowly built a business that way, but it wasn't enough. And then in fall of 2018, this book Traction popped up, and EOS popped up about 8 times over 6 weeks in my life. And it's like, okay, so I should probably read this. And I did. And it's like, okay, this makes sense. Super easy to understand. It's all, the thing I love about it is that it's all transparent. The book tells you how to do it. People hire folks like me so they can move faster, so they can focus on their business, and they don't have to learn the system. They just have to have somebody come in and facilitate and teach them the system. And so then in May of 19, I joined the community. So we call ourselves implementers. Okay. We implement EOS, and I'm part of a group of about 650 folks around the world who do this, which is really cool because,
remind me of what EOS stands for.
Yeah, the Entrepreneurial Operating System.
Okay.
Not computer software. It's actually just this whole system of tools on how to run a better business.
Okay.
And what was so cool about it is that before I was kind of on my own, and now I'm part of a community. So like when I have questions, I get
nice
feedback. So it was great. It's like I've got some folks, I can touch base with. Awesome group of people. We strong set of core values. It's all about help first. And that's where I kind of started shifting. I thought, well, this is what I'm going to use to help families get their business organized so they can ensure a good handoff. Worked with some family businesses, worked some other businesses. COVID hit, all evaporated, had to adjust, and then, been building, rebuilding, and growing since then. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you started in 2018.
Yeah, well, 2019 is when I started, when I actually officially did it. And then like 6 months later, like seriously, 2020, I had, oh my gosh, like 10 or 12 speaking gigs on the calendar all around the country, fantastic opportunities, making the right connections. And in like 5 days, it all evaporated. But you stop and think about, everybody, and we threw it into this chaos and all of that and surf. Yeah.
Yeah. So many businesses, you hear about a lot of businesses starting in 2019.
Yeah.
It's like, what just a bad string of luck.
Well, but here's the other fascinating thing about it is like, so often when tough times like that hit or a recession hits, that's a lot of times when people start their own business because they may get laid off.
Oh yeah.
That sort of thing. It's like, well, if I'm going to depend on somebody, I might as well depend on myself. I'll go, start a business. So
what'd you do during the pandemic? You were still able to?
I did. Like,
did you have to get a different job? Like,
no, I continued trying to do some of that work. I did some virtual sessions. I had also developed a really good national network through the Exit Planning Institute. And the Exit Planning Institute is all about helping business owners exit their business. And I did that like in May of 17. I'd done some speaking. I did a bunch of webinars for them. And so I got to know a lot of folks through that. And so through a lot of, the early, first 12 months of the pandemic, I was just talking to folks. They were freaking out about their business. They were freaking about their family, their plans. And so a lot of times
everybody was freaking out.
I was just I just got on the phone and started talking to folks, listening to them freak out, doing some coaching. Maybe I did some family meeting facilitation. I just kind of, I was lucky I had other resources I could fall on financially. But so I just spent a lot of time on the phone talking to folks and helping them along the way.
Just building relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember your first family that you helped out and like, this is it. I'm finally doing it. This is my first one. Here we go.
So the first one was, and I only worked with the owner a couple of times because what it was is on the surface, it seemed, pretty easy. She just wanted to pass the business off 50-50 to her sons. But as we dug into it, woman-owned business, 60% of the business came from that fact that she was a woman-owned business. She had 2 sons.
Oh.
So if you do this handoff, how are you going to replace the sales? And she had been the sales and marketing engine just through her relationships and sheer will. So now all of a sudden they're going to have to invest in sales and marketing. And by the way, neither son is really good at sales and marketing. They're excellent at operations. By the way, one son has some challenging anger management issues that had to be addressed. And then so all of a sudden it's that proverbial onion you start pulling about. It's like, oh my gosh, no, there's nothing easy about this at all.
There can't be. I can't imagine there's anything easy when you like the old adage, you don't mix family and business.
Yeah. Well,
that's all you're doing is mixing.
Well, but
it's
also the most common way to start a business. Mom or dad get the idea. Hey, I'm going to start a business. Like, okay, well then the family kind of pitches in, because it's free labor. Maybe mom does the books or dad does the books. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we got some legs. This is going. Let's continue working together and figuring this out.
What kind of businesses are these typically? Is there a typical business?
No, you think about, this was a landscaping business. The other early days was an insurance business.
Okay.
Businesses like that, or products, people, come up with some product.
Right.
What was it? Was there a barbecue thermometer company? They did thermometers or some type of barbecue equipment, husband and wife team. They just started working together and figuring it out. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, we can actually do something. We can make this into something. The other common way is you go into business with your friends.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah, that's the other option too, and that is just as treacherous as going in with your family.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to lose the friendship in the process.
All right, so your first family or the
well, actually, the second family was really interesting because this is where.
All right, fuck that first family.
Yeah, the first family, they're fine.
Yeah,
they're good. They're good. They're good. No, they're actually
I'm
doing
kidding.
good. No. So the second family is mom, dad, and two sons. Small agency, professional services agency. And the first step is to do a discovery. So where I spend an hour and a half interviewing everybody in the family, I pull all the data together and say, okay, these are the issues I'm hearing. So in these discovery interviews, one of the sons was saying, I had to step out of the business for a while. I wanted to go out west and kind of strike out on my own, so I could kind of, I felt I need some experience outside the business. Like, okay, that's interesting. Make my notes. Talking to one of the parents in the afternoon, it's like, he walked out of the business one day and then lived in our basement for 3 months because he had a drug and alcohol problem. And then one day he just packed up and he left. Oh, okay. So there's a little bit more depth to the story.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's why if I'm working with a family business in that capacity, I get deeper. I start to understand where the dynamics that go on, because it's like, oh, okay, so it really wasn't you about striking out on your own. You were dealing with an addiction issue and you ran away.
I mean, he was right. He was striking out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then, also understanding the dad, typical visionary entrepreneur, he knew everybody and he was the big relationship guy and he loved the big picture and he was always coming up with all these great ideas. Well, the problem is he's always coming up with all these great ideas and started just unloading all these great ideas onto the team at the firm. And it's like, people are like, what are we supposed to be focusing on?
Okay.
And that's part of the challenge. And so you need kind of a gatekeeper there to kind of, you go do your thing, Mr. Business Owner and visionary entrepreneur. And so that you do what you're best at, let me make sure that, the business is running and it's solid and people know what they're supposed to do. And so you kind of need that gatekeeper to do that. And so in EOS, we call it the integrator, or like an operations person. They're responsible for the inside of the business. Business owner, you go out and do the great things you're at, keeping a pulse on the industry, talking to clients, talking to, potential business opportunities, that sort of thing.
So this guy strikes out. What happens?
So then he comes back to the business. Okay. And he's doing okay. The youngest, he went into the creative field and never quite made it that way. So it's like, oh, I'll come back. So it's like the family business was his fallback. So They brought him back in, kind of tried to create a space for him. And that was just a total train wreck. Because quite honestly, he was in the wrong seat. They were making a seat for him,
right?
When in reality, he needed to be somewhere else. So of course he comes into the business and he wants to make his mark, rather than sitting there and learning and earning your stripes. He all of a sudden had a place at the leadership table, making decisions and interjecting about the firm, when you had the three others saying, we've been around here for 20 plus years or however many years.
Mm-hmm.
We know what's really going on in the business. You need to spend some time learning. Well, and he also was not hitting his sales numbers. He wasn't following through on things. And it was just clear, you have no business being in this. You have no business being in this business. Yeah. And, I handed him my observations and they said, thank you. We'll be in touch. And I never heard back from them.
Oh,
because,
they didn't
they didn't like what they heard. Now, quite honestly, I really identified with the younger one because it was very much me. I get it, man. You have no business being here. Mm-hmm. But the problem is you don't know what else you would be doing with your life.
Right.
because I was the same way for a good chunk of time in my family's
Yeah.
business. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I'm just going to stay here. Nah, I needed to kind of strike out on my own and do all. Yeah.
And now you're doing what you want to do?
I absolutely love what I do.
Oh, man.
Man, it is so fucking awesome to be in.
That's so awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about this podcast is getting someone in here that just loves what they do. That must be I hate what I do more than anything. I fucking hate what I do.
Yeah.
And so I love when people get like, I love my job. I love doing what I do. It's like, man, that's so great.
It's taken a long time to get here.
Yeah.
It has taken a hell of a long time to get here because just, those life lessons you learn along the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you you discover things about yourself, like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, I try not to learn anything about myself. I'm just trying to float through life,
Yeah.
How long does it take to kind of start turning things around? Like, how long will you be working with these people? Oftentimes.
So it's typically, we tell them, when we first meet with them and we kind of line out what the whole thing looks like, is we say about 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And so now for what that means is, so I work with them through a series of session days. Mm-hmm. Okay. But it's only about 5 session days a year. Okay. So really over a period of 2 years, it's 10 session days. All right. And ideally we want them to be able to doing it on their own and they graduate from the process and they don't have to, because we don't teach dependency. And that's the other thing I love about this is, so often you've got people who go in and because, again, going back to your paycheck and, being able to pay your bills, it's like they try and create consultants and advisors will try and create some dependency. And the idea is like, no, we want you running this on your own, so that you're really embracing and you're executing on it. Now, some folks will keep us around forever because they like that outside accountability. They want somebody kind of guiding them along the way. Typically what happens though is the first year is just the leadership team getting themselves organized, figuring out how to work together, executing on the tools and understanding the process. And then in the second year, they start bringing other people along. They bring the next layer of leadership along. And so a lot of times it takes a year for the leadership team to figure each other out. And it could take longer. Yeah. And then invariably it's not uncommon for there to be turnover on the leadership team because you find out, oh, you know what? I got 2 people who really should not be here. Either not in their position, they shouldn't be in the company.
Is that up to you? Are you telling whoever's hired you like you shouldn't?
Oh, no. So because the idea is we create an environment, through our process for them to kind of realize, okay, like for example, we go through core values and help them create a set of core values. Okay. And then, by the way, the leadership team, once they create the core values, they go around, they rate each other on the core values. How are they doing? And that's when you get some really interesting discussion come out. It's like, oh, you know what? Our core values are, we're all about teamwork, but you know what? You are a complete and total asshole because you don't want to work with anybody. All right. So how are we going to solve that issue? I've got a team I'm working with right now. They're just starting the process. They've been using it for about 8 months now, and they're struggling around their core values because the core values define your culture, and one of their core values is teamwork. And it's very clear they've got some people in the company that are not team players, but the owner likes them because they have industry knowledge.
Okay.
But they're assholes to everybody else. And so there's going to be a discussion coming up. It's like, okay, gang, one of the issues is you tell me this is your core value. You've got some people here who are not upholding this core value. How are you going to solve this?
Yeah.
Because you cannot stand up in front of the entire company and say, these are our core values when everybody is avoiding these characters because they don't uphold the core values. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, and I get why, and I understand why they're holding on to them because one, the guy's got a big heart like so many business owners, but then also they have a lot of industry knowledge, but the problem is they've got industry knowledge, but no one wants to work with them.
And they're not going to change. An asshole's not going to change.
They're not going to change. And so, it's like, I hurt for the owner, but you know what? You think they're making your life easy now. They're not, because you got a bunch of other people around you who think, you know what, screw this. I'm going to go work somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a real common thing in business. I've got another business owner who's struggling with a similar situation. They've got somebody who knows their stuff, but they're complete jerks, and no one wants to work with them.
Nobody wants to work with a jerk.
No one wants. And by the way, this jerk leads a major function of the organization, and no one likes him.
So what do you do about that?
Well, at some point, you kind of, it's obvious right now, but I'm not the one who can go in and say that, because then all of a sudden I'm the outsider. It's just creating the environment to where the business owner realizes, okay, I got to pull the trigger. And it could very well be another year before they finally pull the trigger. But it's just making it plain and clear as simple. They're not hitting their numbers. People are coming to you for leadership and management guidance. They're not going to them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's an issue.
Right.
How are you going to solve it, Mr. Business Owner? Or ideally, you want to say, team, how are you all going to solve this issue if this is what's happening? And by the way, in those conversations, that person is also sitting in the room. So you think about having these really hard conversations.
With him right there.
With him right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you must have some pretty tense moments in some of these meetings with that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. People blowing up, yelling at each other. Yeah. I have, another team I just recently worked with, first day, at the end of the day, the gloves came off. It started getting real.
What happened? I want to hear this.
So, well, what it was is, again, visionary entrepreneur. You can start seeing a theme here. This is a business. I'm covering up the details, so it's not, just to protect their identity. But this is a business where they don't have to go market. They don't need to go do business development. They've got a strong enough reputation in their niche where people come to them.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so I mean, it's sweet.
The dream.
Way. Yeah, it's total dream. But they worked really hard to get there. But it's total dream. Well, the problem is they've got one or two people on the team. Again, they've been there forever. They're senior advisors. They know their stuff, but they're not being held accountable to following rules, following process and procedure. But because they are such revenue generators for the firm, they can kind of skirt. And you've got the visionary over here, the visionary entrepreneur, the leader of the firm, who knows it's an issue, doesn't want to deal with it because they hate conflict. Okay. Which, who doesn't hate conflict? Very few people want to jump into conflict.
Yeah.
They hate conflict. And they're afraid about losing key revenue generators, for the firm, which is all understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And so they let them get away with the rules. Well, it pisses everybody else off.
Oh, yeah.
Because it makes their jobs harder.
Yeah.
And so then they get frustrated with
Plus you get resentment and just...
Oh, my gosh, yeah. But then you get their resentment towards the entrepreneur.
Right.
The leader of the firm.
He just lets him get away with everything, and I have to do this and that. Yeah.
Oh, or by the way, I'm cleaning up their mess.
Yeah.
And by the way, this person's even bothering to say thank you for cleaning up my mess. And while they love... in the room, they love and respect and value the entrepreneur, the leader of the firm. They're also really pissed off at them because they're not dealing with this issue. Mm-hmm. And that's really very common. We were in the same way in my family. I had an employee who I should have fired long before I did. I didn't have the guts to do it.
It's got to be hard to fire somebody. Unless they're like just a complete jerk and you see them stealing something from you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the thing about it is that it's, in this case, this person was horrible towards people. I mean, horrible towards other team members who are absolutely nice. And I let it go on too long. And that was bullshit on my part.
Yeah.
But just to be clear, my brother also had his problem employees. So I wasn't all alone in this. But you're right. Well, but I think part of it though is, someone starts a business, they grow this business. Think about all the stuff you got to figure out in running a business. There's the legal, financial, all that kind of stuff. Oh, and by the way, you got people in your business, and you got to figure out you got to be a psychologist to figure out how to deal with all the dynamics and all that stuff while you're also dealing with your own stuff.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make money.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to make money.
I didn't know all this other stuff came along with it.
Exactly.
I wasn't cut for this. I couldn't imagine. There's no way I could be a business owner.
Yeah.
A business of one.
Business of one.
And it'd still probably fail.
Yeah.
But I guess most of them do, yeah.
What, 50? 50% of it. Well, and here's the other thing. So in family business field, there is this statistic, the 3% statistic. Like only 30% of family businesses survive from one generation to second generation. And then only 3%, no, it's 10% from second generation to third generation and 3% from third generation to fourth generation. It's like, oh, family business, so much problem. The failure rate of business in the first place is 50% in 5 years or more. Mm-hmm. All right. So why do we hold up family business to some special, obviously it's family and all that, but it's a bullshit it's a bullshit idea that, oh, you start a family business with your family, it should last forever. Well, how many businesses, large businesses with very smart people in them, have gone out of business or have destroyed value or whatever, all over the place. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So family business shouldn't be held up to any different standard or regard.
Yeah. I guess not.
Yeah.
But it's family. Everyone has a family. So.
But well, that's right. It's and by the way, family businesses are also more trusted than other kinds of like publicly traded, businesses.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's more affinity, more heartfelt connection to family businesses. Yeah. So
and we just trick ourselves into wanting to spend money.
Yeah.
With a family.
Exactly. Well, because we have a family.
Yeah.
We want to support, local. We want to, all that stuff.
Yeah. So, as long as it's cheap enough, right?
Yeah. Well, as long as it's cheap enough. If not, we're going to Amazon.
Ugh, Amazon. The worst. How did that guy do it? Bezos.
Family business. He got funding from his parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he just start in his garage selling books or something?
Yeah, I did. Started selling books. And then I think, somebody, parents floated him a loan and all that. I don't quite know what the origin story is, but yeah, it's very much this whole thing about the whole self-made. Well, when you really kind of dig into it, it's like they had connections. They had help at the beginning. No one does it on their own. Now, granted, they may be the one who's working all sorts of crazy hours and they've got the big ideas, but there are people around them helping them along with either introductions or funding or labor or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
And you're only working with family businesses.
No, actually what's interesting about it is I got into this because I thought, oh, this would be my family business planning tool for good, successful transition. I work with very few family businesses right now. Now I've got some coming online that I'll start working with here soon. But yeah, by and large, no.
Oh, businesses.
They're just businesses.
Just give me a business. I'll just teach you what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy. You can go into almost any business and kind of figure out how to make them successful, but you couldn't do that in your business. You felt like you weren't in the right position, so you went off. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and the thing, so in our business, I was too tunnel vision. It wasn't until I got out of the family business and I went back to school and I was around other people and other ideas. It's like, oh, okay. Because in our family, it was very much, we didn't really look for outside help. We're going to figure it out all ourselves. And that's really kind of common with a lot of entrepreneurs. My sister was the one who actually went out and got a mentor. She went through Kaufman Fast Track. She actually did things to go out and learn and improve herself. The rest of us did not.
How do you find a mentor? I posed this question on Instagram like a week or two ago. It's like, how does one find a mentor? Because I would like a mentor. How do I find one?
So tell me, okay, when you think about a mentor, what are you looking for?
I don't know. A life coach, someone to just help me be better. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, yeah. I think more of just, I'm trying to take this podcast into like another, just kind of step it up, I guess.
Okay. And so when you say step it up, tell me what you mean.
Like when we first started, it's like, I don't know anything about marketing or business.
Okay.
I feel like I'm good at interviewing or having this podcast. Like I make good content. Like it's a good podcast.
Okay.
If more people listen to it,
yeah,
I think they would listen to it longer or whatever. But how do I get it out there? Everyone has a podcast. How do I build it and grow it? So I had a social media expert on here about a month or so ago, and she gave me some tips and tricks on how to grow with that. And I've been doing that, and it's been working.
Okay.
But I also just, I lack, I don't want to say motivation, but kind of with like doing things I don't love to do. I love this. I love podcasting.
Okay.
I don't love social media. I don't love marketing. So
let me put it to you this way. You love doing this right now.
Yeah.
All right. If I were then to give you a checklist and say, you've got to do these 20 things to promote this podcast, post on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. Oh, and by the way, you got to pull clips out and all that.
Right. You
would probably crawl under this table and not want to do any of it, right?
Well, I do that, but I do it under the table.
Yeah.
I'm like, I still got to fucking do it.
Yeah, but it doesn't give you energy.
Right.
Okay. So the first thing to think about is, all right, the stuff that just completely saps the energy out of you. Okay. How can you get that off your plate? Okay. That's one of the first things. And so there is a exercise that we'll go through when I've got a leadership team that's really struggling with some of this stuff, because you get so tunnel vision. It's like it's hard to kind of break out of that. Mm-hmm. So it's called delegate to elevate. Imagine it's fashioned after the Eisenhower box, and so you look at list out all the things you do in a week. All right, and so in the upper right hand upper left hand quadrant, the work that you love to do and you're great at, put all that in that box. Then in the upper right-hand quadrant, the stuff that you're good at and you like to do. All right. That's where all your energy needs to go.
Okay.
Everything that you hate to do and you don't like to do, or you're bad at it, get that off your plate as soon as possible. The stuff that you don't like to do, but you're good at. All right. That's where people go to die in their career.
Yeah.
Okay. I can do this. Get that lower portion off your plate as fast as you can.
Okay.
So that you're always working your highest and best ability. So for example, for me, oh my gosh, I love facilitating, and stick me in the session room day in and day out. I'm a happy camper. Or if I'm working with business owners one-on-one, oh my gosh, I'm thrilled. I love doing that. You mean I got to sit down and schedule 15 meetings and like do calendars and all that bullshit?
Yeah.
I hate doing that.
Yeah.
And so I have 30 minutes out of the day, either at the beginning or at the end, where I will do that. That's the only time I do that. So I park it. So at this point I can, because at this point I'm trying to figure out, if I bring on an assistant for me, what am I going to be able to do with this person to keep them busy 10 hours a week? Because I don't really have all that much in the first place, but I just know this stuff sucks the life out of me.
Right.
So really getting clear on what is the stuff that, sucks the life out of you. How can you get that off your plate as fast as possible? And so if it's like the social media stuff, or it's like all the posting and execution and all that kind of stuff, okay, well, can you get that off? Or can you block out a time once a week? Maybe it's Wednesday afternoon from 2 to 4 where, okay, it's going to suck that time. What do I need to do to make sure I can get it done during that time? Rather than thinking, I'll eventually get to it. Or
that's what I do. It's like, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, because you would rather eat this table than to do all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So then thinking about, okay, well, what could I do? How can I get that off my plate? Yeah. Or do I create a space consistently? And it's like, okay, this is, and at the end, what's my reward for doing it? Yeah.
Yeah. What's a good reward?
What do you like to do? What's a good reward for you?
I already do what I like to do. Like,
yeah.
That's the thing. I reward myself too easily.
Yeah.
I just reward myself.
Yeah. I did. I hear you. I did the same thing too. So, but it's thinking, because, it's funny. I think you were, I remember you talking to somebody about that, you want to grow this podcast. And so as hearing you talk about that, I think it's probably maybe the most recent episode. I forgot what her name is. Anyway, she was a guest on here.
Susan, maybe?
It may have been Susan. So it's thinking about, okay, how can I get that stuff that just drains the life out of me, but actually is crucial to executing? How can I get that off my plate? So do I need to hire an administrative assistant through like Upwork that I know can execute on it? Maybe I can get it down to a couple hours a week.
Yeah.
That's, kind of thinking about getting creative that way.
I did just start actually this past week. This guy randomly hit me up. I don't know, maybe he heard it from the podcast, whatever. Some dude from Argentina hit me up and it was like, hey, I can do some things for your podcast. We haven't discussed how much it would cost yet. Yeah. Because I was honest with him. I was like, look, he said I can make your sound a little bit better, and then I can make a bunch of clips for you.
Okay.
To upload throughout the week. I was like, perfect. Mm-hmm. And he did that, and I loved it. I was like, I've got a folder on my computer full of like 12 different clips that he did for me, and it sounds a little bit better. I wouldn't pay him for the sound. It's not that big of a difference to pay for it. But yeah, this week has been great because he sent all that stuff to me. But even then, I'm like, well, I don't know. Even then, I'm like, well, I still have to go on my computer file and airdrop it to my phone and then drop it at certain times. But he did take a big chunk of the stuff I don't love doing and made that so much simpler.
Yeah. So it's looking at that way. Now, here's the thing about, at least when I did social media with my business, and I pissed away so much money. God almighty, I spent so much money. Schedulers, the platforms don't like schedulers. So like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to schedule all this stuff one right after the other. Instagram, Facebook, they don't like the schedulers. And so from my understanding is it's super efficient, but it gets kicked to the bottom.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. I am not a social media expert, so maybe there's a way you can trick the system, but everybody thinks, I'm going to do the whole scheduler thing. At least from my experience, you don't get near the response on it. So,
random drops.
One
at 7 a.m., one at noon.
Exactly. Well, and it's somebody actually doing it rather than it being automatically scheduled.
Yeah.
It's the automatic scheduling. I think, it's coming from either HubSpot or whatever platform can do that. They know it. Yeah.
That makes sense for them.
Yeah.
They want you on their app.
They want you on their app interacting and getting lost down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. I need to just I just need a clone.
Yeah.
Just clone myself.
You need somebody who likes doing the details.
Yeah, but who likes doing that stuff?
Oh, there's people. Yeah. Oh, God, there's administrative assistants. There's people who love that kind of thing.
Okay.
Who would never want to sit and talk.
Yeah,
they would. It's like, here, just give me my stuff and leave me alone, and they will get it done. Yeah. So and of course, then it's trying to find the person and then getting frustrated because you think you got somebody and they're not any good it takes, but really think about it. It's like, what's the stuff that absolutely drains the life out of me that I can get off my plate?
Okay.
Start there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give that a trial run.
Try it.
Okay.
Give it a shot.
Spend some money on it. See what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to spend money to make money, right?
Absolutely. So, I mean, okay. So when you think about this podcast, and you really wanting to grow it, to be able to monetize it, to turn it into something, what's the end game for you?
That's a tricky question. How should I answer this? Because I'm a dreamer, so I can dream what I want it to be.
Yeah.
But then I'm also, I don't know what the word is. I just don't think great things will happen for me. You know,
it's a little bit of mindset stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that's what it is. I'm like, I'm probably, that's not, I can't see me being a big name podcast where, I'm making a living off of it. Like that would be the dream. It's like,
sure,
my life is, I'm a podcaster. Like I maybe have a couple different podcasts. And then that's what I do. I wake up in the morning, I read a book, and then I have that author on my podcast or something like that. Like, that's the dream. But in my mind, I'm like, that's not realistic. Like that can't happen to you. That happens to other people.
Yeah, but you said you've interviewed an author.
Yeah, I've multiple authors. I've interviewed, all kinds of amazing people.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's probably some head trash around that.
Oh yeah.
A lot of head trash.
Oh yeah.
Like you have no right. You have no right to be even thinking about that way.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it's getting your head around why that resistance or that fear or whatever it may be about why you don't think you can do that. I mean, you've got, how many episodes have you done so far?
Just celebrated 200 like a couple weeks ago. So I'm over 200.
Okay. So you can do this.
Oh yeah.
You can do this, and you've talked to some really interesting people. You've got a lot of really great stories.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you've certainly proven yourself, and at least in the consistency in doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And so is it just the fear of thinking about, talking to people outside of like higher up the ladder as far as impact and?
I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I'll talk to anybody.
Okay.
A lot of times I just maybe don't know exactly how to get to talking to them. Like Instagram is just mainly like, it's how I got to you. It's like DM people.
Right.
But there's going to be, I don't know, like, I don't know. Some people, I don't know. Like I can DM people.
Sure.
But maybe I don't have enough relationship. Maybe I do and I just don't know it. Like I said earlier again, I don't like asking people for things. So it'd be hard to like ask, oh, hey, like Josh, like I've been wanting to talk to Molly Balloons.
Yeah.
And I was like, he knows Molly. Him and Molly are good
Right.
friends. I was like, I could just ask him to get Molly. Not like she's this huge guest or anything, but it's like that mentality is like, I'm afraid to ask other people. Because I don't want people to look at me as like, I'm just looking to get something. Because I don't look to get anything from anybody. I just talk to people I like and want to be cool with.
Okay.
And I don't want to ruin that with other people. Like, hey, can I get this person?
Well, okay. So a couple things here. First of all, as this is really interesting because here's the thing about it is like, you feel like you're imposing on them.
Yeah.
Okay. You're also giving them the opportunity to talk about and promote what they do.
Right.
All right. So you think about somebody like Molly Balloons. Okay. Or, you're giving her an opportunity to talk to your audience. It's more exposure for her. Mm-hmm. It's yet another relationship of somebody else that she can know. And by the way, as you're talking, just as we started talking, we know all these connections.
Right.
Okay. So there's other opportunities there for you to connect to other people. So you're providing her an opportunity to share her story, to talk about her work. I mean, that's a huge thing, an avenue to do that. You're doing the same thing for me today. The thing about it is I have no idea who's going to hear me talk. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be some people out there who say, that guy's an idiot.
Nah.
I would never hire him.
Nah.
He doesn't sound like he knows. And there's going to be other people like, oh, that's nice. And there's going to be one or two that say, I want to know him better. I want to know more about him. You never know what's going to happen. And that's the thing. And I appreciate the head trash that you've got because I have the same thing because I hate making sales calls.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to bother business owners.
Yeah.
Because I know they're busy, and yet I know I can help them. So I got to, I always have to kind of do this dance in my head. And you know what? It's okay if they hang up the phone. It's not going to be the end of the world. But think about how Josh has, there's a quote from Zig Ziglar. You'll get everything you want out of your life when you help everyone get what they want out of theirs. Mm-hmm. Okay. Think about what Josh has done with his business.
Yeah.
He has been so smart about it. Like he features everybody else and he sprinkles some of himself in there and he's, very honest about it and just, he's good natured and good willed about it. You're no different. You're out there. You're providing people a platform to share their story and share their work.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Say no to you? Okay.
Right.
Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of rejection.
Yeah. So it's not that you're, getting out of your head is like, oh, you're not bothering them. Or you're not asking them for anything. You're giving them an opportunity to share their story. And, who knows what else will come from it.
Yeah. I guess like I get in my head, like, yeah, it is. I got a lot of head trash, and I'm like, why would this person with a verified person with 100,000, 200,000 people want to come to me who's unverified with only like 2,000 followers?
Yeah. But you've done 200 episodes. So you've shown up and consistently done the work. Mm-hmm. You've talked to some interesting people. You're serious about this. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many podcasts have been started and stopped?
Oh,
because people do like 3 or 4 episodes like, oh my God, this is really, really hard.
Yeah.
And yet you've stuck with it while also managing a family, managing a career, and having a life outside of it.
Yeah.
So you've shown up, you've done the work, you've shown that you've done the work and that you're serious.
Damn it, Kyle, you're right. I'm pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We forget, but here's the thing about it, Ryan. We all forget. We forget the awesome things that we do because we're so focused on the next thing.
Yeah.
Step back and really think about everything. 200 fucking episodes.
Yeah.
How many podcasters out there have done more than 200 episodes?
I would say not a terrible amount.
Everybody talks about doing, and there's a bunch of people who've done out there 5, 10, and they drop off the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. But you've done over 200 episodes.
Yeah.
That's fucking impressive.
Thanks, man. I try to do it once a week too.
And that's along with everything else in your life.
Yeah.
So you're providing people a platform and you've shown that you can show up and do the work consistently. There's a lot of value in that. I mean, think about how many times you've gone online and you've looked, oh, somebody's got a blog. You click on the blog and the last blog entry was June 3rd, 2018.
Yeah.
Well, that's embarrassing. Take the damn thing down.
Yeah. All right. Who should I have on?
So let's see. Well, you talk about Molly Balloons. A couple of people that come to mind. Christina Sloan. Do you know Christina?
No.
So
I write this down.
Yeah. Laura, we can talk afterwards. So, and the reason why I say that is I'm also the events chair for the Conscious Capitalism chapter.
The hell does that even mean?
So conscious capitalism, it's a global
conscious capitalism. Okay.
Yeah, conscious capitalism. It's a global movement. And the philosophy is that we can believe you can elevate humanity through business. And it's centered around 4 tenets: higher purpose, stakeholder orientation, conscious leadership, and conscious culture.
Okay.
And the thing about it is we know a lot of good business owners out there who genuinely care about their people. They understand the impact that they have in the world. They have that they feel that responsibility. Jackie New went with Cafe.
I've had her on.
Yeah. You talk about conscious business leader. You think about how thoughtful she has been in building relationships and promoting, Asian American culture or Asian culture and giving voice to underrepresented, populations through her business work. She understands stakeholder orientation. She understands all the different ways in which she can impact, her business can impact the community. She's very thoughtful about how she trains her people and who she invites into the space. And so that's a perfect example of a conscious business.
Also, just the work ethic on her. I've seen, I mean, almost nobody else that works as hard as her. When she was telling me about her story living in New York and the hours she was working and just working on Broadway and working at coffee shops, just like, what?
The drive.
It's insane.
The drive. I mean, it's like, I read about it and I need to go take a nap because I'm exhausted hearing about everything that she does. And I feel, but perfect example of a conscious business leader,
Okay.
And so you think about Christina's got she's got a family business story too. And she, especially in her early years working in the family business where she was the only woman delivering, produce to I can't quite remember what it is, but it's a fantastic story. And she is super energetic, person with a big heart,
nice.
All that. She would be a good one. The other person that comes to mind is Corky McCaffrey, who is on the development team. I forgot her she's community engagement but Synergy Services up north. They provide housing and support for women in domestic abuse situations. And they also have a youth program too. She was an interior designer in Dallas. Okay. And now she does this work. She's got a really colorful, somebody who's just got a really colorful, story and life to her. And she also has the liberal use of the F-bomb when we get together and have cocktails, which I love her for that. So there's a couple people that come to mind.
Okay.
Gosh, who else? Scott Havens. Scott Havens is known as Mr. Networker in Kansas. Everybody knows Scott. Super nice guy. He's all about connecting business owners and connecting business leaders. Somebody who leads with his heart. Super awesome guy. There's another person that would be good. So I mean, Kansas City's full of people, but I would also start thinking about, okay, so who could you not in Kansas City, but has a national reach?
Yeah.
That you could start talking to, thinking about that. Because we all know, for example, right now I have a friend who's a psychologist. She has talked to Adam Grant, he's a organizational psychologist at either Harvard or Yale.
Oh, wow.
And she just emailed him, hey, I've got this question for you. And he emailed her back and they started chatting.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird because sometimes, and now when you reach out and ask people, and this is the thing, Adam did an article or a post or something about, because he gets asked all the time. Everybody wants to talk to him, because of his work and his reputation. He's like, so when you ask people, this is how you ask them. And so being thoughtful about, okay, so if I'm going to have you on the show, what do I want to know about you? Or what do I want you to share? And so it's, being thoughtful about that.
I'm so bad. I just hey, I got a podcast. It's kind of good. Want to be on it?
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing about it. For a local podcast, it's actually really great.
Yeah.
Because you've had some really interesting people. You had Josh on here. Have you had Kristen Thomas on here? Open the Doors Coaching.
Yeah. We had a bit of a falling out, unfortunately.
Okay.
And I don't want to say it was on.
We don't have to go there. It's okay.
I was good. We were really good friends. I was on her I helped her come up with the name of her podcast.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Had her on multiple times, and then she's very I like her. I've got nothing bad to say against her at all.
No, that's all right.
But during COVID,
she
was a bit of a freak.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people were, and I'm not. I was this conspiracy theorist, you know, and all the shit I was saying, I was right about. Yeah. But during that time, I was letting her know, like, she was up, like, she posted a picture of a baby. Oh, I'm so glad I got vaccinated so I can now finally see my niece or something like that. It's like, you know, you can still transmit it with the vaccine, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to you. You're just a podcaster. I'll listen to my doctor.
Oh.
I was like, well, you can ask any doctor. They'll tell you the same thing, but okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so there was just a couple things like that where she didn't appreciate me saying back then they were conspiracy theories, but I wasn't, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Mm-hmm. And so we just kind of, I don't know. I haven't reached out to her.
Yeah. Got it. So, I understand.
But yeah, I've had her on a couple times.
Yeah. So, but
Keep 'em Coming podcast, everybody. Go check it out. She is great.
Yeah.
Open the Doors Coaching.
So yeah, there's like Christina, there's Corky McCaffrey, Scott Havens. Those are some of the three that come to mind. Yeah.
Nice. So. Switch back to you here for a second. So you've only been doing this. You've only been doing this for what, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, about almost 4 years. Yeah.
And is your family's business still running, operational?
Yep, still going strong. When I left, it was my brother. So my sister bought me out. Brother and sister ran it for a couple of years, and they merged with a vendor who had complementary services. Brought him on board, and then in 2019 in the fall, my sister became majority owner. So she 70%. My brother and that other business partner and a key employee each have 10%. And so the business has continued to grow. When I left, it was about 18 million. Right now, I think they're on track for 35 this year.
Wow, nice.
Really growth. She is the visionary entrepreneur. And so, it will continue to grow under her watch.
Okay. So I was going to ask if there's any need, or have you gone back there and be like, hey, let me show you guys what I've learned?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because a year ago we started working together.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
And so the thing about it is that she and I had several conversations, because it's like, okay, well, first of all, the best thing for our relationship was me leaving the business. That was really the best thing for our relationship.
Okay.
Because now we're much more adult to adult. And the two favorite people in my world are my sisters. Okay.
Nice.
Love them dearly. And so we, and a little over a year ago, she said, hey, let's talk about if we can work together and we can make this work. And so she and I had a lot of conversations about, okay, it's going to get tough. There'll be times where I have to hold you accountable. Are you going to be okay with that? We just had those real open, honest conversations. She said, sure. Yeah, I think we can do this. Okay. So, and if it's not working out, we got to call it out. All right. And by the way, and the team came back and says, well, why can't Kyle be our implementer? They're the ones who said, like, well, why can't he do it? So started working with him. It's been really cool. There's so much potential in that business. And it's the thing I see in all the businesses where there's so much potential.
For it to get even more than the 30-something million?
Yeah, to get even bigger. And every business I work with, because of the leaders I see and I talk to and I work with, there is so much potential in each of their businesses. I can see it. They can see it. It's just helping them get organized so they can realize that. And so often it's getting out of our own way. So I've had to get out of my own way in my business. They have to get out of their own way. But that's a tall order to do. Because you have to kind of raise your hands like, yeah, I'm not good at this. I need somebody else to do it. It's just like when you think about your pot, it's like, yeah, you know what? I really am not deal with all the little details and stuff. I need somebody else to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my problem is I know I'm not good at it. I just don't know how to find someone that will do it for me, or ask someone to do it for me.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is like, what's your overall vision for this podcast? I mean, you love what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Okay. But think about what's going to be your niche? What's going to be the thing why somebody should tune in and listen to your podcast?
I hope, because it's entertaining.
Okay, so entertaining, interesting people.
Yeah, I don't. Just entertaining. I mean, I'm giving you value with entertainment, with interesting people that have amazing stories. I want people to trust me, knowing that I'm getting the right people that are gonna that they're gonna want to listen to.
Sure.
And that's really hard when I'm not getting big name people.
Okay.
Like, why should I listen to why should I listen to this episode with some Kansas City author that wrote something? It's like, well, just listen and you'll see why. Like, Toriano Porter is a great example. He wrote a book, The 5 People You Meet in the Hood Before You Died. And it's all about,
oh, wow.
That's amazing. Really good book.
Wow.
He grew up in like the worst part in St. Louis, was, gang members all in his family, lost his son to gang related activity. He stole a car and got killed, and wrote an amazing story. And so it's like, you've never heard of Toriano Porter, but he's got an amazing book and an amazing way to, he's got an amazing voice to go with it too. It's just like, I don't know. It's like, I just want people to know that it's gonna. I don't know. I forgot kind of how to answer that question.
Might want to think about that.
Yeah,
because it's part of it's your selling. It's like, okay, so I'm going to come in. Yeah, okay. Every other podcast has interesting people that talk about it and all that. So it's trying to find what is that angle on interesting.
It's just that it's that I have an open mind and I'll talk to anybody.
Okay.
I think a lot of podcasts are, this is the hip hop podcast. We're talking to all rappers. And hip hop artists, or this is the crime podcast. We're going to talk all about crime, and mine is just like, this is just interesting people doing amazing things. And it's like, you got to be open minded. Like, I'll have a scientist on, I'll have a comic on, I'll have a rapper on, I'll have an actor on type stuff, a local celebrity, whatever.
Cool.
It's
yeah. Okay, so it's what it. I hate not so much building bridge. Well, but like you said, it's for people who are open minded, who want to hear from other folks from other
walks of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you think about it, it's like, it's cool. Well, how does a scientist really think? How does a scientist process? I was on at this conference I was at last week. There was an economist who was
cool.
on. What's that?
That'd be cool.
Actually, he's really entertaining.
Yeah,
he's got a real dry sense of humor, but hilarious, and which says a lot for an economist.
Yeah,
and he's very much like, hey, we're math geeks. I'm going to tell you what the math says, and it's like, we're not political, so I'm not even going to get into politics and whatnot, but I'm just going to tell you what the numbers say.
I like that.
And so it's a really interesting, fantastic, so they're, if you want, ITR Economics, his name's Alan. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but Alan, fantastic, would be an interesting person. It'd be a Zoom. You'd have to Zoom, but it could be an interesting, somebody to talk to. Well, actually, he has a twin brother, so it's family business.
I'll have him on and say it's his twin.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me about economics, sir. He doesn't know shit.
Yeah.
All right. Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years doing what you're doing? Is there is there a business out there you don't want to work with real big businesses, so it's not like there's probably not like a dream company you want to work with, is there? I'd love to work with Nike. Oh,
yeah. So Nike, publicly traded. We want privately held companies. I actually have right now an opportunity ahead of me which is a family business. Some dynamics there, but it's a huge company, north of 100 million. I'll just say that.
Wow.
I want that. I want that challenge because of all the different dynamics that are going to be in the room. And it's a business that needs to have a transformation. There's a committed business leader. They recognize they have to change. And it's a traditional business. And it's like, I want that challenge. The funny thing, I feel weird talking about this publicly because, you put it out in the universe and all that, because I don't want to sound like I'm desperate for it. I just, from a growth perspective, holy shit, it would be, I mean, it would push me in ways I have not been pushed yet. And I would love to have that opportunity.
More for the challenge than anything else?
Oh my gosh, the challenge. Yeah. The revenue's fine.
Right.
But it's the challenge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the challenge. Because it would force me to dig deep and really, when I'm in the room, being able to manage all the personalities, managing myself, just having that experience would be phenomenal.
Because it's so big. There's that many.
It's big. It's the family dynamics. It's going through a transition. The company has to go through a cultural transformation itself.
Jeez.
And it's like there's just a whole bunch of things there. And it's like, oh my gosh, to have an opportunity to work with that. And, the folks I've talked to so far, genuinely good people. They genuinely care and they want this to work. And it's like, sign me up for that.
Okay.
And so, and I've got a couple other large companies in the pipeline, companies I never thought I would work with. Because just like you're thinking about, why would they want to talk to me?
Yeah.
I'm like, why would they want to work with me? And in our community, we all have the kind of this head trust. Like, why would they want to work with me? Why would they trust me with their business?
Oh yeah.
And
they are kind of trusting you.
Well, and the way I look at it, it's like I've got anywhere from 3 to 8 leaders of a business.
I mean, if they're listening to you, they're trusting you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the weight of the responsibility, I've got 3 to 8 leaders in a room for a day, and I am responsible. The time and the energy that it takes to bring them together, I got to make sure that day rocks. That they, at the end of the day, that they feel like it was a good investment of time, that it was good that they worked, that they were actually together. That
you got to build trust. Yeah.
Yeah, it's building trust.
How are you building trust when are most of the people just, well, the boss brought this guy in, so we have to listen to him? Or are you like, you guys, we're going to the bar, maybe we're going to go to a strip club later tonight, like we're going out on the town, we're getting shit done tonight, we're going to just have good times.
Yeah. Well, so for me, it's more about, we take them, so through our process, we have very much set of session days, but beforehand, I go in and I meet with the leadership team for 90 minutes. And I learn a little bit about them, share a little bit about us. I walk through the whole toolbox and the process. And in doing that, they first of all get a taste for how I present, how I facilitate, because there's some facilitation in that. And then they say, okay, you know what? I think you're our guy. We want to work with you. And so it's scheduling that first day. And really in the way in which to build trust is I talk about being open and honest. We got to have open and honest. So if I see somebody not being open and honest, or someone not engaging, or the visionary not following through on what the boss not following through on what he said or she said they were going to do, I got to be able to call them out on that, because everybody else in the room is watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's that kind of stuff.
Do you have any issues with confrontation?
I don't have a problem with other people's confrontation. I can facilitate that. Oh my gosh, don't even in my own personal life, I run from it like everybody else does. I can deal with everybody else's circus but my own. I will own that too. Yeah. But in that building that trust is that you've got to be able to walk the talk.
Right.
And so if I see somebody not following through, even if it's the business owner who's going to sign my check, I got to call them out, because if I don't call them out, everybody else is going to see that. It's like, yeah, more of the same.
You got to out-alpha the alpha.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. So, yeah, but I love it. The thing about being a good facilitator, or even being a good consultant or advisor, is you have to be able to say the thing that's going to get you fired.
And not even be scared about it.
And not be scared, and be okay. Because part of that is that you also have a pipeline and other client lists that you can fall back on. And that's really hard to for some people to get their head around. Like every time I walk into a session room, I have one of the first things I know is that, okay, this could be the day they fire me, because I say the one thing they don't want to hear.
Like what?
Well, for example,
have you been fired for saying something?
I have not been fired, but typically what happens is they don't come back.
Okay.
If it's been a really hard day, they won't come back.
Okay.
And I can usually tell if they're not going to come back, just because of tone and body language, and
sure.
I can pick up on it. Typically they won't come back. But so for example, working with a leadership team where it was very clear that one of the key members they weren't hitting their numbers and they weren't finishing their priorities. And it's like, okay, it's very clear that you're not doing it. You go through the scorecard once a week. You're updating everybody on your priorities during what we call a level 10 meeting. You're not hitting your numbers. What's going on? We can't move forward until we understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. And then usually it's like when you call somebody out, they are going to do one of two things. They're going to either step up and own it, or they're going to go around and start pointing fingers at everybody. It's like, well, wait a minute. You're an adult. You're the one who said you're willing to hold yourself accountable to this, and now you're pointing fingers at everybody else. What's going on?
A lot of people are just adults by their age. And then nothing else
Very
only.
true. Very true. They're adults by their age.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Well, yeah. So was there anything that sticks out in your mind where you called a boss out or said something that would have pissed them off or they wouldn't have come back?
Recent client that decided they were going to do it on their own, just asked the questions like, you have been through 3, and we call them integrators, kind of their chief operations person. They're the ones who are responsible for running the whole thing while they go out, do their other stuff. You've been through 3 of them since we started working together a year and a half ago. What's going on? Well, I just can't seem to find the right person, and all these excuses. I said, you're not letting go, are you? Well, no, you're not letting them do their job. Well, I don't trust them. Like, is it that they're not capable, or that you're not ready to let go and let them really do their job? Well, and so it got a little bit of a contentious conversation. And through that, it's like, yeah, you need to spend a little bit more time working on yourself. When you're ready, I'm here. I will work with your team to make sure there's a good handoff, that you can stay on track with it. But I think as far as us working together for a while, you need to kind of work on your own on some stuff.
You're traveling all over the country for this? You're not just...
I'm working Kansas City. I've got some clients out of town in a couple different spots. Okay. And ideally, I would like to have half my work here in Kansas City, half out of Kansas City, just because I like the different perspectives geographically. And I've got opportunities, all over that folks I'm talking to. Here's the thing: is it takes time to build that trust to where they're like, okay, we're ready for you to come in and talk to us. Now we're ready to work with you. It just takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, when I started down this particular path in my career, I never valued and appreciated that.
That it takes time?
That it takes time to build that relation. And I went to school for a master's in counseling. That's all about taking time to build a relationship. Well, this is no different. It's just taking time and not being annoying in the process and sounding desperate and greedy or desperate and needy in it too. It's like, when you're ready to work, let me know. You know where to find me.
Are you are your own business? Is it just you, or is it with this group that EOS?
So EOS, we're a franchise organization.
Okay.
So I'm a franchisee like everybody else.
Okay.
I'm responsible for my own book of business. I agree to execute the process purely because it's a proven process.
Okay.
There's 650 of us. We've done over 120,000 session days across 15,000 leadership teams and companies. And so so
you're with a company though.
So I'm with this organization. So I'm
an organization.
I'm with the organization. I'm a franchisee. So even though I'm a member of the organization, I am responsible for my own book of business.
Okay.
So I go out there, and now I don't have a territory. I can work anywhere I want. But I'm responsible for building my own book of business.
Is being a part of this organization like just credibility, or what's the point of being with this organization and not just by yourself doing
just kind of do it.
Is it the support system that comes with it?
One, it's the fact that it's a proven process.
Okay.
Like Gino Wickman, who wrote the book Traction.
But you already have the process, so what do you...
Well, first of all, there's also, they've got it's their intellectual property.
Okay.
So there's licensing and that sort of thing. And the thing about it is that there's folks out there who do kind of similar things. They call it something else. What I love about this, what drew me to the organization, first of all, was our set of core values. Okay. Be humbly confident, grow or die, do what you say, do the right thing, and help first. Those are
Solid.
our core values. Oh my gosh. Lined up so well with my own personal core values of growth, relationship, service, and work. And so that just aligns so beautifully. The other thing is that I was so tired of being on my own.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like, doing the podcast.
Right.
Sometimes you feel like you're on your own, and
Oh yeah.
it's like,
It's a
geez.
desert sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was kind of tired of that. I also
That makes sense. I
it's-
struggle with that sometimes.
and I didn't appreciate that either. And quite honestly, it took me a little while to really dial into the community. But now that I am, it's like people help each other. You can call up people who've been doing it for years and ask them for a piece of advice. They'll help you. I mean, it's a wonderful community to be in. And I didn't fully appreciate that until I kind of got in and started tapping into it, how much I needed that.
Okay.
And that support. Also that accountability.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I like about it is it's an open and transparent system. That's the other thing. There are no secrets here. So it's not like, say, hey, Ryan, if you give me $1,000, I'm going to share you this, but if you give me $10,000, I'm going to share all this. The book tells you how to do it. So there's a bunch of people.
Because I don't have $10,000.
Yeah, exactly. but the thing about it is, it's like people don't necessarily need us. They hire us if they want to go faster, but they can also do it on their own, which I love kind of that security and putting it out there in the marketplace. And we also guarantee our work in the sense that, when they bring a check to a session day, at the end of the day, if they got value, they hand me the check. If they don't feel like they got value, they don't pay me. Mm-hmm. And I love that, because then that keeps me on my toes and making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So there's just a lot about it that I love doing business that way. I absolutely love doing business that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a beautiful thing you got going on.
Yeah,
there.
I'm a lucky guy. It took me a long time. It's been a really interesting growing process.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, like it took you to your 49 or something like that.
Yeah, 49 to get into that, and I'll be 53 in July this year. And but I'm so incredibly grateful where I'm at right now and all the lessons.
There's hope for all of don't take this the wrong way, but there's hope for all of us when a damn near 50-year-old starts a whole new path and finds what he's. I love this. I'm passionate about this. Like, I love doing what I do.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about it, is like, you see the 20 under, or the 30 under 30 and the 40 under 40, awesome, great. I don't want to slam those, but give us the 60 under, give us the folks who start at 60, 65, 70, the people who, just start, they're going to figure out how to do it and they make it happen.
Yeah. Hey, that's a hell of a story there for those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very rare one.
Yep.
What do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
5 years, what I would really like is I'd like to be doing about 80 to 100 session days a year. A good solid client base of people I love working with, regardless of size or business or whatnot. I also want to be able to have time to do some of the other things. Like, I love spending time with my sisters. Oh my gosh. Yeah? They're my two favorite people in the world.
What do you guys do? Do they live here?
So one lives here. Gina still runs the business. I have a sister Mona, who's on the East Coast. She's just announced her retirement. She's at a university on the East Coast. So she's going to move back to Kansas City. She's been away for 30
Oh, you must love that.
So she's going to come back. We vacation well together. The three of us, when we're together, have a fantastic relationship. So there'll be, pool time this summer and we'll do some traveling together, and it's just basically being with each other, even if it's just having a meal or going for a cup of coffee or something. I'm so excited. I'm so stoked for Mona to move back here, the three of us. And we also have a fantastic group of friends around us.
Nice.
I'm lucky to have, just some amazing, intelligent, wonderful people in my life. There's another person that came to mind, is David Donovan, who's a very good friend of mine, psychologist and psychoanalyst.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that.
He'll get in your head.
All right, come on.
He'd also be another good one, because he's also one of these people who's absolutely, interested and fascinating, loves the arts, all that. So he would be another good guest to have.
So, like, in your personal life, your big thing is like traveling and eating?
So personal travel, yes, traveling and eating. I did have a relationship through COVID, for about 3 years. It was going to be a summer fling. So we met in spring of 2019. It was going to be a summer fling. And then he was supposed to move away. He moved here temporarily for a job, and he thought he'd move on to another city. He ended up staying through COVID. He was remote work. And we just kind of kept seeing each other. Well, last a year ago last March, moved him down to Dallas. He wanted to go back to Dallas. And it had gone as far as it was going to go. Because I think he wanted, for me, I never, being in a relationship, commit, long term, having a husband or a partner or anything was never. It's not something I really care for.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And I like being single.
Hell yeah, me too. Being single is the fucking best.
And we text each other every day. We have a good, solid relationship, and it's deeper than a friendship. And I'll see him a couple times a year.
Get them benefits.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but it's just fantastic, and he's a really sweet guy. So I like spending time with him when I see him, either here in Kansas City or go down to Dallas, or we might go somewhere else. So that's cool. But other than that, yeah, I'm a really low key guy. Love, as far as I love going to the theater, love going to the ballet, going to see dance
around here.
Yeah, Haley Costas with Costas Contemporary. She's a dancer, a choreographer.
Okay.
Fantastic human being, wonderful human being. Another great guest to have on.
Hell yeah! You're gonna give me a whole list of people.
I'm gonna give you a whole list of people. Yeah. So just another interesting person. She works here, and she also works on the West Coast in
fun.
L.A. Back and forth. She's got a great story. Lovely human being.
I'm not too. I don't know what would be the right word. Maybe cultured in those arts. So I don't even know. I didn't know there was. I've heard of the Kansas City Ballet Company, but I've never even been to Kaufman to see anything there.
Mm-hmm.
Like we actually have like a legit play scene. Like I've seen a play, like off Broadway, but like I don't really think about that we really have that kind of stuff here. It's not really my wheelhouse. Not that I'm against it. It's just not. I don't ever think about it.
Well, and it's the thing about it is that I so currently season subscription to Unicorn and then to the ballet.
I've been to I think the Fringe.
Oh yeah, Fringe.
The Fringe Festival.
Yeah, we've got the Fringe.
Was that
Festival
Unicorn?
That's
Maybe?
Like everybody. I think they do.
They're everywhere. I think I went to this. I think this might have been at the Unicorn.
It could very well have been.
Is that off Main?
Yeah, it's on Main, like right almost at 39th.
Yep.
39th
Okay, that's where this was. Okay.
Yeah. So it's and we've got an amazing theater scene here in Kansas City. And the thing I love about it is, first of all, I will go and watch dance. I will go and watch a play. I don't read about it. I don't study the playwright. I could, all that kind of stuff. Same thing with the choreographer. I just love to go and experience it, and I've seen dance in New York. I've seen dance all over the place. I go and I just experience and I enjoy it. I don't get all into choreographers or, any of that kind of stuff.
But people do, huh?
People. Oh yeah. Yeah. Just like there is with football or sports. Yeah. People really get into it. It's like, oh, so-and-so did this. And it's so
that makes sense.
It's like, yeah, I don't know.
This is the guy that did the John Wick scenes.
Exactly.
Come watch this. Yeah,
exactly.
Choreography for this. Yeah, I can see that.
But I'm also a really good sucker for a really good revenge flick.
Yeah, John Wick's up there.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely up there.
You killed my dog. I'm going to kill 100,000 people
exactly.
now. Apparently, though, all I've seen is John Wick 1. Yeah, I haven't even seen the other 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I loved 1. I don't know why I haven't seen the other ones, but apparently they just keep getting better. Apparently the latest one's supposed to be great.
Well, it's like 3 hours. Now, here's the thing. It's like, oh God, I have to sit down and watch this for 3 hours, which I want to see it, but there's that. But then I will binge watch something on Netflix. Like, what the hell, man?
I know. It's just that initial, I was going to go see Avatar, the new Avatar.
Oh, yeah.
So I watched the first one here.
Yeah.
And that's a long one, too.
Yeah, that's
But you're in your house.
Yeah, it's comfortable. You can stop it.
You can have some drinks.
Breaks.
You can smoke, whatever. Make yourself some food and watch. And you're in your own comfortable house. But then, and I was like, I want to see the Avatar 2. But it's like, it's 3 hours. I don't want to go to a movie theater for 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, then I think, I'll just stay at home and watch it. And then my TV is 13 years old.
Oh, you need a new TV.
I know I need a new TV.
They're not expensive anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about it.
You can get the biggest TV you've ever seen for $600.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's like I need a new TV. It's like, I know.
Just go do that. Just do it.
Just go get a new TV.
I'm going to facilitate this for you.
Are you going to facilitate this purchase?
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is you walk up and it's like, there's all these doodads and everything. It's like, I just want a TV.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Go to Target, get the prettiest TV you see, give them your credit card.
And it's all done.
Dude, that's all you got to do.
There you
so
go.
easy.
Have to do it. And it will be even thinner than the one I have now.
Thinner and lighter.
Yeah.
Easier to hang.
It's crazy.
I just had a question. Where did it go? Traveling, eating. Do you have a favorite? I probably shouldn't. You don't have to answer this, but is there like a favorite company you've worked with or for around here? Anywhere really. Whatever.
Yeah. Is there a favorite company?
Like I just love working with them. They get it. They're making their visions happen and they're gonna explode.
Yeah, I'm not gonna answer that one because I'll end up pissing somebody off.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there is. I've worked with a couple of really cool companies. You know, it's people who just care.
Yeah.
You know, somebody asked me once, like, well, a client that I just started who's out of town. They said, so like, what kind of people do you want to work with?
Anyone but an asshole.
Yeah. Well, but it was I had to get a little bit deeper than that because they were like, okay, I said, I want people who understand that their business makes an impact. You know, that they understand that there's an impact.
Like an impact on community?
Impact on the community. It impacts their people. That they understand that it's more than just money. And they want to make that impact. And so like this firm.
I mean, it's not all about the money.
It's not all about it. Everybody likes to think it is, but it's really not. I mean, you need to make a profit.
Right.
Even in conscious capitalism, you got to make a profit. We recognize it, but how you make that profit matters and what you do with it matters.
Sure.
But actually, I would say the firm that's out of town that I just started, I love working with them because it's an LGBT client, first gay-owned business I've worked with. And that kind of brings in a whole other interesting thing about it. It's a legacy business. It's been around for a long time because they're known in the community nationwide. And it's just genuinely good people.
Nice.
Just genuinely good people. And it's just like, okay, I will bust my ass for you and help you any way I can. And they recognize they need the help. And yeah, they're just great people. I
guess that's the key to anything. Just working with people you enjoy and like.
Absolutely.
Where do you like to travel? You're always working. You travel a lot with your work, which I think that's why I would love to have a job like that because I like to travel too. I think it'd be so cool. Just I'm going to Denver next week to talk at this conference, or I'm going to Nashville, whatever.
Yeah.
But do you like to internationally travel?
I'm not I was in London in 2018 for a conference. I'm just not a big like.
You didn't like London?
London was cool. Don't get me wrong, but like the whole thing about like, I want to go to Europe, or it's like, that doesn't really interest me all that much.
Really?
Although I have this really weird fantasy or this vacation thing of where I want to go to Paris and I want to sit in a cafe on a Tuesday afternoon in Paris and drink coffee and watch the world go by.
What book did that come from?
I have no clue, but it's just this really weird thing. It's got to be on a Tuesday.
Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
Yeah, come on. You can't just randomly come up with a Tuesday?
Well, okay, so here's the reason why it's
any
Tuesday.
day of the week. It's got to be
No, it's because Tuesday is the most ordinary day of the week.
Right.
Monday, it's like you're getting started again. Then there's Tuesday. But then Wednesday's like hump day. Thursday, it's almost Friday. Friday, the weekend. And you got Saturday and Sunday. Tuesday is the most ordinary day of the week. And so there's something about the thought of sitting in a
it's
cafe.
not ordinary. If there's only one ordinary day of the week, then it's by definition unordinary.
Excellent. Good point. But there's something about I'm going to sit in a cafe on Tuesday knowing the rest of the world is going on around.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
there's
romantic.
Just something weird. Very romantic notion about that. But honestly, so going back to my sisters, we have taken this trip to Playa about 3 years.
Mexico?
Playa del Carmen in Mexico. We go to a resort down there. It's the three of us. It's from Sunday through Friday during Thanksgiving week. So we get out.
Oh, that's an interesting time.
Yeah, and so we get out of like all the holiday madness about Thanksgiving and all that, and we go there. It's the three of us. Sit on a beach. They bring us mojitos. They bring us mudslides, whatever.
Oh.
All of that. We read. We nap. The resort that we love to go to is in town. It's like a block off the main strip. We think, we should, walk through town, and we'll do that for about 30 minutes. It's like, okay, we're done with this. We'll go back to the resort. It's all inclusive, adults only. It's super cheesy and very, very white to think about it that way, but it's I think we have such good memories there because we're kind of out of the ordinary.
Okay.
All that kind of, out of our normal spaces. And it's a great time. It's just the three of us.
I struggle with the idea of going to like an all-inclusive resort like that.
Yeah. And because
I want to go, because I want to travel. I've been kicking the idea in my head about going to Peru by myself and just going for a couple weeks and just kind of getting lost.
Yeah.
I don't speak any Spanish. I know 12 words, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But there's just there's something romantic and mysterious and cool about that. I want to do that. And I also would I've thought about the idea. I was like, well, I could go to Mexico and do an all-inclusive thing, but
it's all the same.
It doesn't sound the same. It just seems like I'm going to like America on a beach in Mexico. It's like, is it really what I mean?
Well, it brings up a really good point. I'm under no illusions that we're experiencing anything authentic. We're not. It's all for it's all for North Americans. All that kind of stuff. But no, I get what you're saying. Like the whole experience of just kind of going and getting lost and. Yeah.
I just want to get lost in like someone else's culture and just see what their day-to-day life is. Like, this world is so big, and here I am doing a job I hate.
Yeah.
In the, in America, American privilege, whatever, and living that life. But knowing like I could have been born in Peru.
Oh yeah,
super poor. Let me see what this life could have been like.
Yeah.
I didn't pick my parents. I didn't pick this. It was just a lucky roll of the dice to be some white dude in America. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
What is it like out here for these other people, and what's that day-to-day life like? And I just want to experience different cultures and just see what life what it is.
Well, when I think about traveling, there's this piece of me that it's like, if I'm gonna go, like you said, I want to experience the day-to-day. I do not want to go see a church in Europe. I don't need to go see
I don't want to do that either,
That does not interest me. Now, I love a good art gallery. Don't get me wrong. I love a good art museum for a couple of hours, and then it's just like brain's done. But yeah, go shopping in the stores, eating the local food, it kind of trying to understand what happens day to day.
Yeah.
That is far more interesting to me than all of the sites and everything.
Yeah.
That doesn't.
I don't want to go to where it's touristy either.
Yeah.
I want to be like the only gringo around.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah. I think London would be cool. I think the European cities and seeing that stuff would be cool.
Yeah.
But it doesn't like draw me. It's like, especially big cities, because it is a lot of tourists. Like, I don't want to go where tourists go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just seems like you're cheating.
Well, and
it can be fun.
Yeah.
And I still do kick around, and I'll probably do an all-inclusive type trip too, because who doesn't want to drink mojitos and mudslides on the beach all day?
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, like that is paradise in its own thing too. Fuck the culture. This is a selfish, like, I'm having fun. There's a beach, the ocean right there. Like, come on.
Yeah. There for a while, I did several cruises. And now here's the thing about it. I never left the boat. I stayed on the boat because it occurred to me, I did a whole bunch of them, a bunch of gay cruises. So gay
oh my God, that's got to be the best. That's got to be gay dudes party the best.
Like, oh my gosh. So this years ago, I had drinks with like sales director from one of the cruise lines, and they said they had just done their first gay cruise. They had to stop at the end of the third day and restock the liquor.
Of course they did.
And it's like, that's our people. They drink about 4 times as much as what. And
gay dudes can fucking party.
Oh my
and
God.
Why wouldn't I don't know if it's obvious or not, but I'm not gay. But like, I mean, how amazing is that life must fucking be? Gay dudes are just dudes.
Yep.
That want to fuck. That's all I want to do. If you threw me on a cruise
with
nothing but single hot bitches that are always working out and in shape, sign me up. Like, what that's got to be the life.
And everybody's on vacation, so everybody's out of town.
Like, if I could make a wish that would come true, like, make me gay for like 1 week. And just let me go ham.
And the thing about it's like, you think about everybody's out of town, everybody's fresh meat, from that perspective. But it's also everybody's on vacation. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody's having fun. It is a week of parties, and it's wild to see how the friendships, and of course there's still the petty and bitchiness and all that kind of stuff, but there's some really cool, people that you meet, the friendships that start, across the age spectrum and all that, and which I love. But yeah, I never leave the boat.
Yeah,
it's
why
like,
would you?
Well,
that's what I came for.
The thing about it is like when you stop and think about,
wouldn't
okay,
leave
so
either.
you're gonna pull up to the dock and you're gonna wait in line with everybody
Right.
else, and you're gonna spend more than half your day just traveling back and forth to whatever it is you're gonna do. I'll just stay on the boat.
Yeah.
I get faster drink service when everybody else is ashore.
Yeah. And then, don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on the all-inclusive resort type thing because
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah.
I am a Vegas slut. I go to Vegas multiple times a year.
Oh,
I'm
do
going
you?
in a month.
Okay.
Like, I love Vegas, and there's no culture there. It's
Oh
just,
no, it is like you are stepping off into this other world where nothing like
There's no
proportions. There's no rules. It's like
I've been I've been wanting to go. I play poker, so I've
Okay.
been a fan of I've been wanting to go to Vegas since like the early 2000s, and just for whatever reason, never. I guess I didn't want it that bad. I didn't research how I can do it. Again, kind of like with the podcast thing, where I don't think that can happen for me. I'm like, that's just I can't do Vegas. I don't whatever. And then I finally was like, all right, I'm doing it, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't know it was this cheap.
Yeah.
You can get on. I use Orbitz,
Okay.
and the first time I went was during the pandemic. The pandemic didn't stop me for shit.
Okay.
I took planes, trains, and automobiles.
Okay.
Literally, like my first trip was on a train to St. Louis, like heat COVID.
Yeah.
I went to Vegas during the heat of COVID. During Denver, flew there, like all these places. Like I didn't give a fuck about COVID, and so the first time I went to Vegas was like $350 round trip.
Oh my
for
gosh.
4 nights at the Venetian. We're talking like one of the nicest hotels on
I've
the strip.
stayed there before. My God, every room is a
Sweet.
big ass suite.
I won't stay anywhere else. That's the only place I stay. It's so good. And so I didn't realize you could travel there for that damn cheap. And so in the first time I went, so I do different, I try to, I don't know, maybe the best way is to like trick your brain. And for a year, I was just basically living my life like this is a simulation. Like are you familiar with simulation theory?
No, tell me about it. It's like the Matrix. We live
Exactly.
in. Okay,
Exactly. We're
I'm with
inside a computer. So I was
Yeah.
like basically thinking, living my life for a year, that we were basically living inside a computer simulation.
you. Okay.
And during that year was my first trip to Vegas.
Oh, geez.
And up until then, I took a month of sobriety off everything.
Yeah.
So I go to Vegas, I get weed, I get alcohol, and the first thing I do, I get higher than I've ever been before.
Yep.
And then I'm like, this is a simulation. And if this was a simulation, Vegas is like the hub. It's like where you plug in the plug, like the main part of the computer. It's like it is like another world. It's like you're an alien world.
Yeah.
You got people from all over the world. You can go sit at the pool and you're going to hear Portuguese, French,
Oh, all the different languages.
Australian.
Yeah.
Like you're going to hear all this shit there. It's like, and then it's just the lights, the glitz, the no rules, everything. It's just Vegas hooked me.
Well, and the proportions, like the buildings, like the rooms, everything is just out of proportion. So much bigger. The food, like the drink, everything is just.
Yeah, I'm a foodie too.
Yeah.
And if you're a foodie, everybody's compete. So Vegas is basically how I explain it. It's everything those properties are doing is to hook you.
Oh yeah.
That's what so even the crap, what you would think would be a crappy little place to go eat. Mm-hmm. Oh no, it's amazing food.
Oh yeah.
Because they need you to come back. They're fighting for you. So you got all this amazing food in this area, and everything is just built to visually stimulate you. Mm-hmm. So it's just constant stimulation. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah. How long will you go for?
I'll leave on Sunday and I'll come back Thursday.
Okay.
Because that's the cheapest time to go.
Yeah,
I have my kids every weekend. So
yeah. Okay, so you're able to drop the kids off. And
they get picked up on Sundays at like 8 a.m.
Yeah,
and then we'll go to the airport and
hop on.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was in Vegas. Well, I was in Vegas last year, but I wasn't at the Strip. I was outside at Lake Las Vegas for meetings. But oh my gosh. Yeah. And then, of course, then you've got the whole desert around you, and that's a whole nother element. Because I don't know if you like the desert. I like
the desert, but I haven't been to Vegas. I don't go off the Strip, really. I mean, I'll go to old downtown.
Yeah. Which, by the way, well, then you have the Fremont experience. You talk about even more sensory overload.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Love me some Vegas. But yeah, I also want to go to, like I said, I want to go to Peru. Spain's on my bucket list. I really want to go to Spain. I want to see some bullfights. And I see all that.
Well, and the thing about Spain, it's like the culture is such that dinner is so late. Like, it's a completely different clock that you're on when you're in Spain.
Okay.
A completely different, pace to life and whatnot. I will say the Americans can learn a lot from the Europeans about life.
Hey, I'm American. I should be saying, hey, they can be learning a lot from us.
Oh, man, I don't know.
America, fuck yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good luck with that.
Europe just needs to make Europe great again. Hugo. How would Trump say that?
I have no idea. How would that
I guess we just have to look at what was that guy? Boris Johnson? Was that him? Was that the Trump?
Yeah, the Trump of England. Yeah. Yeah.
Kyle, this was fun, man.
Man, thanks for the opportunity. I enjoyed it.
Good.
Absolutely blast.
Yeah, this was fun. Is there anything you'd like to say before we get off? How people can find you, or
you can find me online. I'll give you. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Kyle L. Danner, or you can find me eosworldwide.com/Kyle-Danner, or emails or Kyle.Danner at EOS Worldwide, or just Google Kyle Danner space EOS. I'll pop up. And so here's the thing for whoever's listening. I get a charge out of helping people with their business. Even if you're just a single business owner or whatever, or you're trying to figure it out, drop me an email, whatever. Be happy to spend some time chatting with you. Not going to be a sales pitch or anything like that. Show you what I got. Like I said, it's all out there. You could do it on your own, or if you're interested in working together, let me know. If you're interested in learning more about conscious capitalism, hit me up about that. Would love to share with you about the mission of that and what we're all about. Or if you just want to go out and have a cocktail sometime.
Shit.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'll hit you up for that.
Please do. Hey, I live in the city market, so if you ever Sunday afternoon you go down to Parlor, be happy to join you.
I'm going there in like an hour.
I would do it today, but I've got plans today. But yeah, sometime just drop me an email or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll meet up and have a chat.
Hey man, this was fun, man. I really appreciate it.
Ryan, thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was a blast.
This was fun.
Cool.
Bye.
Leave me the fuck alone. Neanderthal, hardest podcast in the world, you stupid ass bitch.